Chapter 65. The students from the Kanglan Empire finally realized that the situation was not good. That young man's strength had far exceeded their expectations. If they had not seen it with their own eyes, they would never have imagined that the young man could defeat Qin, who had awakened his acquired spiritual body. On the other side, Jiang Yuexin covered her mouth in surprise. Although she had always known that Ji Yu was very strong, she had never thought that Ji Yu's true strength would be so terrifying. Jiang Yuexin was actually fine, but Jiang Yuechu looked like she was doubting her life. Not long ago, she was the #1 martial arts prodigy in Chaoyang Ancient City, but a few days ago, she was defeated by Yin in 3 moves. She had been worried about Ji Yu, but that guy had beaten Yin to the point that he could not even fight back. "We haven't even used the 3rd move, and you're already at your limit?" At this moment, Ji Yu looked at Yin with a mocking smile. From the previous exchange, he could roughly sense that Yin's cultivation was at the mid-2nd level of the defensive profound realm. He had to admit that this bastard's strength had increased very quickly after he awakened his acquired spiritual body. It was no wonder that he could defeat Jiang Yuechu in 3 moves. However, this level of cultivation was not worth mentioning in front of him. Moreover, he had mastered 2 low-level mystic skills, which was not something that this bastard could hope to achieve. "You hiss." Yin wanted to say something, but he could not because of the unbearable pain. "It's time to end this." The mocking smile on Ji Yu's face disappeared instantly and was replaced by endless coldness. He gathered a strong mystic chi on his fist again and was ready to end Yin's life with this punch. No. Yin's eyes were filled with fear, and he kept shaking his head to beg for mercy. He knew that if this punch landed, it was very likely that he would really lose his life. "Let him go." At this moment, the instructor from the Kanglan Empire Academy could no longer sit still and stopped him. However, Ji Yu did not seem to hear him at all. He had no intention of stopping, and immediately threw another punch at Yin. "Stop!" The moment Ji Yu swung her fist, the instructor from the Kanglan Empire Academy smashed the chair he was sitting on with a single palm strike and rushed towards the ring at a terrifying speed. But at this moment, a purple figure suddenly blocked in front of him. "Morong Zili, get out of my way!" The tutor from the Capital Institute bellowed and did not slow down at all. No matter what, he could not allow that youth to kill Yin. The purple-dressed woman called Morong Zili didn't comply. Her slender jade fingers slightly waved, and a huge light purple barrier suddenly formed around her, blocking the middle-aged instructor's path. The middle-aged instructor had no choice but to slow down. His expression turned gloomy. "Don't blame me for being impolite." He pulled out the long sword at his waist in an instant. His wrist moved quickly, and the sword flashed with a faint green light. His aura ferociously pierced toward the purple barrier. At the same time, Ji Yu's mountain-shaking fist landed on Yin. Yin felt as if he had been hit by a huge rock, and his entire body tumbled out of the ring. Seeing this, the middle-aged instructor's expression changed drastically, and he forcibly stopped the long sword in his hand. His figure flashed towards Yin, and just as Yin was about to fall out of the ring, he caught him. The middle-aged instructor checked Yin's condition and heaved a sigh of relief. It was obvious that Yin was not completely dead yet. Seeing this, a trace of regret could not help but flash across Ji Yu's eyes. His punch actually did not kill Yin directly. "Kid, did you take my word for granted?" At this moment, the middle-aged instructor turned to stare at Ji Yu, his eyes full of malice. "This is a battle of life and death." Ji Yu calmly spat out 5 words. Facing an expert from the Kanglan Empire Academy, his face was incomparably cold, without the slightest hint of panic. It was also at this moment that the crowd below the ring finally reacted. "Yeah, this is a battle of life and death. Didn't the battle of life and death end when one side dies? Is it really okay for the people from the Kanglan Empire Academy to interfere like this?" "It can't be helped, Sai. Who asked Yin to awaken his acquired spiritual body, and he has already joined the Kanglan Empire Academy." Of course, the Kanglan Empire Academy doesn't want Chun Yin to be killed by that kid. The crowd below the ring sighed. Most of them were on Ji Yu's side and felt that the instructor from the Kanglan Empire Academy was being unkind. They were only here to watch the show, and they weren't familiar with Ji Yu or Chun Yin. Whichever side was strong and reasonable, they would lean towards that side. Jiang Yuexin was especially angry, forcefully interrupting a battle of life and death, and even speaking to Ji Yu like that. How shameless! Chen Wuheng's expression became very unsightly. Today was supposed to be his son's day shine, so how did it develop into this? Lin Zhanshan's expression wasn't much better. He didn't expect Ji Yu, this kid, to not only live well, but also crush Chun Yin. Moreover, the people from the three major powers were present, so this kid would definitely join one of them. In the future, if he wanted to take revenge for Qi Tian, it would be very difficult to find an opportunity to do so. Hearing the voices of criticism all around, the people from the Kanglan Empire Academy all had awkward expressions. At this moment, Murong Li's red lips suddenly opened. Disrupting a battle of life and death. Does your distinguished self want to go back on your word? Following this cold and pleasant voice, the middle-aged instructor gradually realized that he had violated the rules and was in the wrong first. However, he was someone from the Kanglan Empire Academy, so how could he lower his head in front of so many people? My Kanglan Empire Academy will never welcome you. The middle-aged instructor coldly snorted, and after saying this to Ji Yu, he took Chun Yin and left the ring. Hearing this, Ji Yu smiled but didn't say anything. He never thought of joining the Kanglan Empire Academy. He only appeared here for one purpose, and that was to kill Chun Yin. This was a pity. Now that Chun Yin was taken away by this person, he couldn't continue to put Chun Yin to death. Just as Ji Yu was about to leave the ring, he noticed the purple-dressed woman in front of him. He bowed slightly to the purple-dressed woman and thanked her. Many thanks for Senior's help. If this purple-dressed woman didn't appear, that Kanglan Empire instructor would definitely have made a move on him, and the consequences would be unimaginable. I am a master of the Qianyuan martial house. Are you willing to join my house? Chapter 66. As soon as she said that, the entire audience went silent. There were over 10,000 people present, and they were all shocked by the words of the purple-dressed woman. The Qianyuan martial house was ranked third in the entire Kanglan Empire. Together with the Kanglan Empire Academy and the Qingxian sect, they were known as the Three Holy Lands. And the master of the Qianyuan martial house was actually a young and beautiful woman. Even the mentor who took Chun Yin away turned his head to look at Murong Li in astonishment, his eyes full of amazement. This woman has actually become the master of the Qianyuan martial house. The middle-aged instructor looked at Murong Li with amazement. But he wasn't just shocked because of this. He had just cut off his relationship with that brat, and this woman directly threw an olive branch to him. Obviously, this woman didn't put him in her eyes at all. This was something he didn't expect at all. Even Ji Yu couldn't help but be stunned. The purple-dressed woman in front of her was actually the master of the Qianyuan martial house. What do you think? Murong Li was very interested in Ji Yu and was looking forward to Ji Yu's reply. I'm willing. Ji Yu didn't hesitate and immediately agreed. Right now, he had made too many enemies. From a number one holy land of the Kanglan Empire, the Kanglan Empire Academy, to some lone martial artists in the ancient city of Chaiyang, they were all his enemies. If he didn't have the protection of a powerful force, he would easily lose his life. Not to mention the strength of the Qianyuan martial house. This purple-dressed woman also came forward to help him. He had no reason to refuse. Moreover, he had already passed the entrance exam. If he wanted to join one of the three major forces, the Qianyuan martial house would naturally be the best choice. As for the Qingxian sect, he also excluded it because he didn't know the position of those people in the Qingxian sect. Rashly joining would be very risky. Very good, then you come with me. Murong Li's face showed a trace of satisfaction. She walked down the stage with light steps. Ji Yu slightly nodded and immediately followed her. Then, Ji Yu followed Murong Li to the Qianyuan martial house's location. The person who was originally sitting next to Murong Li consciously got up and gave way, hinting Jiyu to sit down. Just like this, Jiyu sat beside Murong Zili and became a member of the Qianyuan martial house. Looking at this scene, the audience below the stage began to discuss incessantly. This young man really joined the Qianyuan martial house. But Chunyan is from the Kanglan Empire Academy. If the Qianyuan martial house did this, they would offend the Kanglan Empire Academy. Wouldn't that be very bad? This young man's strength is so terrifying. Even Chunyan, who has awakened his acquired spiritual body, was beaten by him. If I were the master of the Qianyuan martial house, I would definitely offend the Kanglan Empire Academy to recruit him. Moreover, the Qianyuan martial house is one of the 3 holy lands of martial arts. There is no need to fear the Kanglan Empire Academy. That's right. I think the Kanglan Empire Academy is even more upset. The peerless prodigy that they just won over was crushed by someone else in 3 punches. If it wasn't for that instructor interrupting the duel, the peerless prodigy would have been beaten to death by someone else's fists. Haha. At this moment, the faces of the people from the Kanglan Empire Academy were not looking good. Chunyan's injuries are very serious. You guys quickly send someone to treat him. The middle-aged instructor sternly ordered the others. Yes, immediately, someone took the unconscious Chunyan and left the place. Then, the middle-aged instructor's gaze turned and stared at Jiyu, who was not far away. Brat, don't be happy too early. The potential of an acquired spiritual body is something you can't imagine. In his opinion, Chunyan had just awakened his acquired spiritual body and had yet to display its enormous potential. In addition, that brat's strength was strange. That was why he was defeated so miserably. After a while, Chunyan would definitely be able to surpass that brat. At this moment, Jiyu noticed the middle-aged instructor's gaze. At the same time, he suddenly thought of something and a slight smile appeared on his face. He suddenly stood up and slowly said, "That's right, I almost forgot to mention something." Murong Zili looked at Jiyu's sudden action, and a trace of doubt flashed through her beautiful eyes. Jiyu coldly looked at Chun family's patriarch Chen Wuheng with a faint smile and continued, "Does everyone want to know why Chunyan was able to suddenly awaken his acquired spiritual body? Why could he suddenly awaken his acquired spiritual body?" Jiyu's words immediately attracted the intense interest of everyone present. Not only that, but even the people from the 3 major factions were very curious. After all, this was related to the secrets of the acquired spiritual body. Who wouldn't care? Chen Wuheng, who was being stared at by Jiyu, panicked. How could he not know what Yin'er did? Chunyan didn't awaken his acquired spiritual body out of thin air. Instead, he used some kind of miraculous spiritual pill to forcefully change his physique. Jiyu's tone gradually turned cold. However, that miraculous spiritual pill was originally an opportunity that I obtained by chance, but he forcefully took it away. Not only did he destroy my family, but he also wanted to kill me. Chapter 67. Is this true? Chunyan actually did such a thing. If this is true, then Chunyan is a despicable person. Damn it, Pui. To think that I used to treat Chunyan as my idol. How disgusting. Everyone was furious. Jiang Yuexin was also furious. She did not expect Ji Yu to be treated so unfairly. She had been wondering why Ji Yu was always targeted by the Chun family and wanted to kill Chunyan at all costs. So this was the reason. At the same time, she could not help but feel a sense of loss and sadness. Even so, Ji Yu, that bastard, had never mentioned these things to her. He had always suffered silently by himself. At this time, the people from the Kanglan Empire Academy were all dumbfounded. When they came back to their senses, they all whispered to the middle-aged teacher, "Teacher, is it really okay for us to recruit such a despicable person?" "Yes, teacher. Although Chun Yin has awakened his acquired spiritual body, his character is too. Why don't we just give up on him? We can't accept such a despicable person." The middle-aged teacher scolded, "Shut up, all of you. Don't jump to conclusions before we know the truth." Hearing the scolding around him, Chen Wuheng finally could not hold it in anymore. He stood up and retorted to Ji, "You're slandering him. You're saying that I'm slandering him?" Ji smiled calmly and said, "Since you think that I'm slandering that despicable person, why do you look so flustered? Are you hiding something?" Chen Wuheng looked even more guilty in the face of Ji's doubts. He tried his best to control his expression and not give himself away. "Stop pestering me. If you have the guts, show me the evidence. Don't try to ruin my Yan Er's innocence." Chen Wuheng scolded. "I really can't show you the evidence. After all, your son of a bitch is very secretive about his actions," Ji said helplessly. "However, no matter how secretive it is, it can't be completely hidden. If you're interested, you can go and investigate. In fact, most of you already know what the Chun family has been doing to me recently." As soon as this was said, many people present had already reacted. Recently, the Chun family had indeed done a lot of things, and they were all targeting Ji alone. They weren't fools. The Chun family wouldn't think of ways to kill a young man for no reason. Basically, many of the people present had already settled down. Before Chen Wuheng could speak, Ji continued, "Apart from that, the bodyguards who usually follow Chen Yin around are also involved. Do you dare to ask them to step forward, Master Chen?" Hearing Ji's words, Chen Wuheng's heart suddenly trembled. Right at this moment, a clear and pleasant voice suddenly entered his ears. This man or head knows a little about the soul-searching technique. It will come in handy. Murong Zi Li, who was sitting next to Ji, suddenly opened her mouth. Soul-searching technique. Chen Wuheng's head suddenly thumped. The soul-searching technique was a powerful secret technique that could invade the soul to search a person's memory. This time, Chen Wuheng didn't dare to ask those people to step forward. Chen Wuheng was very anxious. For a moment, he didn't know what to do. "What, you don't dare?" Ji stared at Chen Wuheng and smiled faintly. Chen Wuheng's expression was extremely ugly. He couldn't say a word. Looking at family head Chen's appearance, I guess he's so guilty that he can't speak. It seems that what that young man named Ji said is true. I really didn't expect that the dignified Chen family would do such a despicable thing. Next, let's see what the Kanglin Empire Academy will do. They definitely wouldn't have thought that Chen Yin, who has awakened his acquired spirit body, is actually a despicable person. At this time, everyone present had a rough idea of what to do. Gradually, more and more people's gazes fell on the Kanglin Empire Academy people. Feeling the gazes from all directions, the Kanglin Empire Academy people didn't say a word. It seemed that they were waiting for the leader of the instructors to speak. Things had already developed to this point. No matter what they said, it was useless. The decision lay with the instructor alone. The middle-aged instructor's expression was very conflicted. He really didn't want to give up on a genius who had awakened his acquired spirit body, but now that tens of thousands of people were looking at him, it was difficult for him to make a choice. After a while, he finally made a decision. In a low voice, he said, "Regarding Chen Yin, the Kanglin Empire Academy can't directly expel him. After all, the truth is still not clear." As he spoke, his gaze turned to Chen Wuheng and gave him a subtle look. "Also, I would like to ask family head Chen to hand over the bodyguards that our young friend Ji mentioned. This will allow the Kanglin Empire Academy to investigate the truth." Chen Wuheng's eyes suddenly lit up. Chen Wuheng understands. Ji frowned. The Kanglin Empire Academy was obviously trying to cover for Chen Yin. Once the bodyguards of the Chun family were handed over to the Kanglin Empire Academy, the beautiful principal wouldn't be able to use the soul-searching technique on them. When that time came, the truth would definitely be completely covered up. But it didn't matter. He had already achieved his goal of exposing this matter, and that was to let everyone see the true colors of that dog, Chen Yin. However, the young friend Ji that the instructor mentioned really made him want to vomit. Not only that, but most of the people present also understood the intentions of the Kanglin Empire Academy. I'm really speechless. The Kanglin Empire Academy still hasn't done anything. They have no sincerity at all. They didn't do it kindly enough. Sai, what can they do? Chen Yin is a genius who has awakened his acquired spirit body. The Kanglin Empire Academy will definitely do everything they can to protect Chen Yin. Chapter 68. There is still a wave of dissatisfaction below the stage. However, the middle-aged instructor didn't care. Compared to the acquired spirit body, the abuse of a group of ordinary people didn't matter to him. The farce ends here. Let's continue with the business. The middle-aged instructor forcibly ended Chunyan's matter and said with a calm expression, "The 29 people who passed the entrance exam, you can choose your own sect to join." Then, one by one, the people who passed the exam began to choose the sect they liked. Although the Kanglan Empire Academy wasn't very honest, it was still the #1 holy land in the Kanglan Empire. More than half of the examinees still chose the Kanglan Empire Academy. However, there were several examinees who were weaker in talent and strength who were rejected by the Kanglan Empire Academy because the Kanglan Empire Academy always accepted at most 10 people at a time. These rejected examinees could only choose the Qingxian sect or the Qianyuan martial house. The Qingxian sect didn't reject anyone and accepted as many as they wanted. As for the Qianyuan martial house, it was ranked last among the 3 holy lands. Not many people were willing to join the Qianyuan martial house. However, the Qianyuan martial house's behavior was very strange. They didn't accept many people, and all of them were rejected by Murong Zili. Many people were puzzled when they saw this situation. Could it be that the Qianyuan martial house only wanted to accept Jiyu alone? Master Murong, why didn't you accept them? At this time, even Jiyu couldn't help but ask Murong Zili. No need. Murong Zili slowly said these 3 words. She seemed very domineering. Jiyu was speechless and smiled awkwardly. He couldn't help but silently ridicule in his heart. The beautiful master in front of him really had a strange temper. Those 2 sisters should be your friends, right? At this time, Murong Zili suddenly asked. That's right. What's wrong? Jiyu was slightly stunned. She immediately realized that the master was referring to Jiang Yuechu and Jiang Yuexin, so she nodded. Okay. Murong Zili slightly nodded. Then she ordered the others, go invite those 2 girls to join our Qianyuan martial house. Jiyu, after Jiang Yuechu and Jiang Yuexin were invited to join the Qianyuan martial house, Jiang Yuexin trotted over at once. However, as soon as she arrived in front of Jiyu, she suddenly didn't know what to say. Find a seat and sit down, Jiyu said with a smile. Yes, yes, Jiang Yuexin nodded. Then, she and Jiang Yuechu sat down behind Jiyu. After thinking for a while, Jiang Yuexin finally organized her words and said softly to Jiyu, Jiyu, if you encounter this kind of thing again in the future, can you not bear it silently and tell me? Hearing the trace of pleading in Jiang Yuexin's words, Jiyu fell into a short silence. He nodded and pondered for a moment, then said in a somewhat low voice, the thing is that this is between me and that guy, Chunyan. Before the matter is more or less settled, I don't want to involve you. You see, you're like this again. Can't you trust me a little more? Jiang Yuexin's tone was mixed with a trace of anger. She really didn't like Jiyu to take on everything by himself. She was completely like an outsider who couldn't help at all. Just like how Jiyu was seriously injured not long ago. If she didn't happen to bump into him and save Jiyu in time, the consequences would be unimaginable. If you encountered any accident, then what should I do? As Jiang Yuexin spoke, a faint mist gradually appeared in her eyes, and her voice sounded more and more like crying. But halfway through her words, her voice suddenly stopped. Jiang Yuexin's delicate face flushed red, as if she realized that what she just said wasn't very good. She secretly glanced at Jiyu in front of her and found that Jiyu didn't have any reaction. She immediately breathed a sigh of relief, but inexplicably felt a little disappointed in her heart. Jiang Yuechu saw this scene and shook her head slightly and sighed. My sister is really too much. She could have said it directly, but at the last moment, she shrank back. Jiyu was the only one who didn't notice anything wrong. His expression was still serious as he said, I understand. I will try my best to change in the future. It's good that you understand. Jiang Yuexin's face was still red from embarrassment. She said softly, don't forget after a few days. No matter what happens, you have to discuss it with me. Okay, Jiyu softly responded. Unknowingly, He had gradually regarded Jiang Yuexin as one of his own. He wouldn't treat Jiang Yuexin as coldly as before. At the same time, although Morong Zili didn't speak, she sat beside Ji Yu. However, she had been sitting next to Ji Yu the whole time. Of course, she had heard the conversation between Ji Yu and Jiang Yuexin clearly. Chapter 69. At this moment, Morong Zili had an interesting expression on her face. A girl who is not honest, and a very slow boy in some aspects. This combination is really interesting. At the back, Jiang Yuechu watched as Jiang Yuexin and Ji Yu destroyed the good atmosphere. She couldn't help but feel that it was a pity. She felt that she had to think of a way to let these two go one step further. Otherwise, with these two's personalities, they might not have a chance even after 8 to 10 years. No one knew her younger sister better than her. Her younger sister was a very dishonest person who would rather die than lose face. And that Ji Yu was clearly good at everything, but in this aspect, she was unusually slow. It really made people feel helpless. Not long after, all the examinees who passed the exam joined the 3 major powers. The Kanglan Empire Academy accepted 10 people. The Qingxian sect accepted 17, and the Qianyuan Martial House only accepted 3 people. These 3 people were Ji Yu, Jiang Yuechu, and Jiang Yuexin. Just like this, the joint recruitment exam held by the 3 major powers came to an end. Originally, Chen Wuheng wanted to do some things after the exam, but Ji Yu's sudden appearance and many other terrible things completely disrupted his plans. In other words, he should have been the biggest winner today, but now he became the biggest loser. After the exam ended, everyone left the Qin Mansion. The Kanglan Empire Academy and the Qingxian sect also left. They had already recruited new people, so there was no need to continue staying here. However, those examinees who had already joined the major powers didn't leave with their major powers. Instead, they went back to their own families. Perhaps it was because they wanted to go back to report the good news or make preparations. After all, being able to join the 3 major cultivation holy lands of the Kanglan Empire was a great honor. At this time, the Qianyuan Martial House people were also preparing to leave. However, Morong Zili still had to explain to Ji Yu, go back and rest or prepare for a while. Within a month, take this token and go to the Qianyuan Martial House in King City. Before leaving, Morong Zili said to Ji Yu, Jiang Yuechu, and Jiang Yuexin. As she spoke, 3 bronze tokens suddenly appeared in her hand. She gave the 3 tokens to Ji Yu and the others. Afterwards, Morong Zili gracefully left. After walking for a short distance, she turned back and glanced at Ji Yu. Her lips curled into a smile. Interesting young man. How many more secrets do you have? After that, Ji Yu followed the people from the City Lord's mansion and left the Qin family. On the way back to the City Lord's mansion, Manor Head Jiang would occasionally pay attention to Ji Yu. This young man's performance today had truly shocked him. Chun Yin, who had awakened his acquired spiritual body, was actually easily crushed by this youth. His strength was extremely strong. In addition to strength, his mentality, willpower, and other aspects also surpassed ordinary people. Manor Head Jiang didn't know when his second daughter had gotten acquainted with such a young monster. Moreover, his second daughter seemed to have a good relationship with this young man. He pondered for a moment. It was indeed time for his second daughter to look for a man. However, he still had many questions to ask this young man. However, now wasn't the time. At the same time, Ji Yu naturally sensed Manor Head Jiang's gaze. However, he didn't pay much attention to it. Instead, he was thinking about his own matters. Now that Chan Yin has been protected by those guys from the Kanglan Empire Academy, I can only find an opportunity to take his dog life in the future. Before that, I can't relax. The acquired spiritual body still has some tricks up its sleeve. Ji Yu thought to himself. Although Chan Yan's acquired spiritual body was definitely not as powerful as his system, if he relaxed, and the Kanglan Empire Academy focused on nurturing Chan Yan, who knew what kind of accident would happen. At the very least, he couldn't relax until he took Chun Yan's dog life. Soon, Ji Yu followed the group of people back to the governor's mansion. At this moment, Manor Head Jiang suddenly said to him, "My young friend, I have something to tell you. Is it convenient for you to come with me now?" "Of course it's convenient." Ji nodded. Although he didn't know why Manor Head Jiang was suddenly looking for him, he didn't hear any arrogance in Manor Head Jiang's tone. Therefore, he naturally had to give him some face. Not long after, Ji Yu followed Manor Head Jiang to a luxurious room. "Feel free to sit anywhere," Manor Head Jiang said politely to Ji Yu. Hearing this, Ji Yu found a mahogany chair and sat down. Then he went straight to the point and asked, "What is it, Manor Head Jiang? Please tell me. What do you think of Yuexin?" Manor Head Jiang didn't beat around the bush and directly said what was on his mind. "Yuexin? Are you talking about Jiang Yuexin, Manor Head?" Ji Yu was slightly stunned and asked. "That's right. She's my second daughter." Manor Head Jiang nodded with a smile. Ji Yu was silent for a while. Although he didn't know why Manor Head Jiang suddenly asked this question, he still answered truthfully. "Overall, I have a good impression of her." Other than that, he didn't know how to answer. Then, Chapter 70. Ji Yu couldn't help but be shocked when he heard Manor Head Jiang's words. He didn't expect that Manor Head Jiang would suddenly bring this up. However, just as Ji Yu was about to speak, the door was suddenly pushed open. "Father, how could you tell Ji Yu these things without permission?" It was Jiang Yuexin who had barged in. Her fair, flawless cheeks were flushed red, but her face was filled with anger. It seemed that she had been waiting outside the door to listen in. Ji Yu wanted to say something, but hesitated. He could tell that there was something wrong with Jiang Yuexin's tone of voice. "Jiang Yuexin, how could you be so rude?" Manor Head Jiang frowned and reprimanded Jiang Yuexin. "I don't care. I don't want you to make decisions for me without permission." Jiang Yuexin was so anxious that her face turned red. She shook her head vigorously. "I'm doing this for your own good, and also for the good of the entire city, Lord Manor." Manor Head Jiang said matter-of-factly. Seeing everything unfold before him, Ji Yu thought that the relationship between father and daughter was indeed not good. However, the actual situation was worse than he had originally imagined. From his point of view, it was very obvious that Manor Head Jiang had privately discussed the engagement with him without asking for Jiang Yuexin's opinion at all. With Jiang Yuexin's personality, she definitely wouldn't be happy after discovering this. Furthermore, the relationship between father and daughter was already not good to begin with. This only intensified the conflict. This was only Ji Yu's conjecture. He wasn't particularly clear about the actual situation. Hearing this, Jiang Yuexin's expression immediately darkened. She gritted her teeth and said, "I will make decisions for my own matters. I don't want you to interfere." Before she could finish speaking, she quickly walked over and grabbed Ji Yu's hand. "Let's go." Ji Yu was forcefully dragged away by Jiang Yuexin. He didn't resist at all, nor did he say a single word. This was because he felt that it was best not to do anything unnecessary before he figured out the ins and outs of this matter. Jiang Manor Head stared blankly as Jiang Yuexin took Ji Yu away, but he didn't say anything. After Jiang Yuexin and Ji Yu left, he shook his head slightly and sighed. At this moment, Jiang Yuexin had already pulled Ji Yu away. Finally, she gradually came to a stop. The anger on her face had subsided quite a bit. She lowered her head and said, "I'm sorry for letting you see such a joke." "Nothing much. But did something happen between you and Manor Head Jiang in the past?" Ji Yu asked with concern. Jiang Yuexin looked hesitant. After a while, she said, "That person, he never cared about my feelings or my mother's feelings." "Your mother?" Ji Yu's eyes flashed slightly. This was the first time he heard Jiang Yuexin mention her mother. Speaking of which, he had been in the city lord's manor for so many days, but he had never seen Jiang Yuexin's mother. "And my mother has been suffering from a strange illness for many years. She lies in bed all year round, and it's hard for her to even take care of herself. Usually, I'm the one who takes care of her." When she mentioned her mother, Jiang Yuexin's expression became very sorrowful. Suddenly, a trace of anger flashed through her eyes. "But that man actually never cared about my mother. He even kept saying that it was for the good of all of us. Ji suddenly realized that no one knew where Jiang Yuexin went every day. It turned out that she was taking care of her mother. However, he didn't say anything. He quietly listened to Jiang Yuexin continue speaking. Originally, he wasn't like this a long time ago. Ever since my mother fell ill, he suddenly became like a different person. He became selfish, and no matter what he did, he would never care about my feelings. Jiang Yuexin said in a low voice, not only that, after my mother fell ill, he gradually neglected us. He completely didn't care about my mother's life or death. Halfway through, Ji seemed to have realized something. When Jiang Yuexin finished speaking, he asked, what was Manor Head Jiang like a long time ago? No matter what, for a person to suddenly have such a huge change in personality, there must be some unknown secret. A long time ago, he was very good to my mother and me. It's completely different from how he is now. Jiang Yuexin said, now, he only treats big sisters slightly better. However, in terms of martial arts, he is extremely strict with big sister. Then he's not so strict with you? Jiu calmed down and thought for a moment before asking. At first, he was, but I didn't listen to him at all. Later on, he slowly stopped caring about me. Chapter 71. So that's how it is. Ji once again sank into a brief moment of contemplation. He kept feeling that Manor Head Jiang was hiding something, but he couldn't be completely sure. The main thing was that he didn't understand Manor Head Jiang's character at all, so he had no clue what Manor Head Jiang was hiding. He carefully pondered for a moment, then suddenly realized something. When he summed up all of Manor Head Jiang's actions, it was as if he desperately wanted to increase his own strength. Not long ago, Jiu had also desperately wanted to become stronger because of Chunyan's matter, so he was very sensitive to this aspect. That was why he kept feeling that Manor Head Jiang was hiding something. It was very likely that he was trying to increase his strength. Manor Head Jiang's strength could be Manor Head Jiang himself, or it could be Jiang Yuechu and Jiang Yuexin. It could even be the entire city lord's manor and all the people he could use. It was precisely because Manor Head Jiang had taken a fancy to his talent and strength that he wanted to privately betroth him to Jiang Yuexin. This way, he would become a part of the city lord's manor and become one of Manor Head Jiang's strengths. The reason why Manor Head Jiang was so strict with Jiang Yuechu in terms of martial arts was so that Jiang Yuechu could become stronger as soon as possible, and thus Manor Head Jiang's strength would also increase. Even Jiang Yuexin had been subjected to such harsh requirements. However, Jiang Yuexin was completely disobedient, so Manor Head Jiang gave up in the end. At this moment, Jiu suddenly recalled that 7 days ago, Jiang Yuechu had been defeated by Chunyan in 3 moves. Manor Head Jiang's face was filled with disappointment, and the events of that time further confirmed his conjecture. Of course, all of this was still just Jiu's conjecture. Before the truth was confirmed, he wouldn't easily come to a conclusion. In that case, he would continue to think based on this conjecture. Since when did Manor Head Jiang become so desperate to increase his strength? According to what Jiang Yuexin said, it was after her mother fell ill that he suddenly became like this. When he thought of this, Jiu's mind once again formed a new conjecture. The root of all this was very likely to be the illness of Jiang Yuexin's mother. How did your mother get that disease? Jiu asked. I'm not too sure about that either. I've asked my mother many times, but she wouldn't talk about it every time. Jiang Yuexin shook her head. Jiu frowned slightly. This was a little troublesome. He pondered for a moment on how to ask. After thinking it through, he asked, then where did she get sick? Was it in the city lord's mansion? I'm not sure about that either. I only know that after my mother and father returned from somewhere, she inexplicably contracted that strange illness. I don't even know how to treat it. Jiang Yuexin still shook her head. As soon as she finished speaking, she continued, speaking of which, when I went with you to the demonic beast mountain range to collect purple sungrass, it was to see if it could treat my mother's strange illness. However, that stalk of purple sungrass didn't have any effect on my mother's strange illness. Jiang Yuexin's words once again disrupted Ji Yu's train of thought. At that time, where did Manorhead Jiang and his wife return from? There was no way to know. Why did his wife contract a strange illness? There was also no way to know. Why don't you take me to see your mother? Hearing Ji Yu's words, Jiang Yuexin was slightly taken aback. She subconsciously asked, "Why? Can't I?" Ji Yu asked in return. If Jiang Yuexin was unwilling, it would be useless even if he said his conjecture. Moreover, those were his own conjectures. Jiang Yuexin might not necessarily believe him even if he said them out loud, so he might as well not say them first. It's not that you can't, but there should at least be a reason. Suddenly, at this moment, Jiang Yuexin looked into Ji Yu's eyes with a vigilant expression. I keep feeling like you're hiding something from me again. Why do you always like to bear everything by yourself? Would it kill you to tell me? I know. Ji Yu sighed slightly. He couldn't help but feel like laughing. He didn't expect this girl to be so sharp. She actually noticed this. I'll tell you. Let's talk as we walk. Ji Yu said. That's right. Then come with me. Jiang Yuexin nodded happily. She led Ji Yu to her mother's residence. On the way, Ji Yu told Jiang Yuexin about his previous conjectures. After he finished speaking, he added, "First, look at what I said from an outsider's point of view. Do you think it makes sense?" The reason why he said this was so that Jiang Yuexin's thoughts wouldn't be affected by her hatred towards Manorhead Jiang. Jiang Yuexin pondered for a while. Then, she nodded with a complicated expression. Although I really don't want to admit it, what you said does make some sense. Relax a little. I'm not saying this to change your opinion of Manorhead Jiang. Moreover, you were the one who asked me to say these things. Ji Yu said gently as he looked at Jiang Yuexin's complicated expression. Then he continued, no matter what, I'll go see your mother with my own eyes first. Perhaps I'll be able to figure out the truth of the matter then. I understand. Jiang Yuexin took a deep breath and calmed herself down. Where her expression relaxed, she began to quicken her pace. All right, let's continue walking. Ji Yu nodded slightly and also quickened his pace to catch up with her. Not long after, the two of them arrived at a simple and crude hut. It's here? Seeing this hut, Ji Yu couldn't help but reveal a trace of surprise. He didn't expect that the Manorhead's wife would actually live in a place like this. Chapter 72. Jiang Yuexin could hear the astonishment in Ji Yu's voice and immediately explained. This is an old house from more than 10 years ago. Back then, Mother gave birth to elder sister in this house, and then gave birth to me here. Ever since she fell ill, she has been staying here. Every time elder sister and I asked her to move to a better place to live, she refused. As she spoke, Jiang Yuexin's expression slowly became warm, and her eyes gradually became infatuated as she looked at the small house. Perhaps even if Ji Yu spoke now, she might not be able to hear. Ji Yu quietly looked at the small house and cooperatively did not disturb Jiang Yuexin. After a while, Jiang Yuexin suddenly came back to her senses and felt her eyes become moist. She hurriedly rubbed her eyes and covered it up. Some sand accidentally entered my eyes. I'll be fine soon. Ji Yu had already seen through her, but she did not say it out loud. Very quickly, Jiang Yuexin finished rubbing her eyes. All right, let's go in. Ji Yu followed Jiang Yuexin into the small house. The outside looked extremely simple and crude, but the inside was a warm and quaint little house. There were all kinds of flowers and plants in the house, causing the air to be filled with a refreshing fragrance. Mother's favorite thing is flowers and plants. I'm the one who raised them here, Jiang Yuexin slowly said. Ji Yu slightly nodded as she pondered in her heart. After that, Jiang Yuexin brought Ji Yu to a wooden bed. Lying on the wooden bed was a young woman with a face full of black gas and a haggard appearance. Seeing this young woman, Ji Yu's pupils suddenly shrank. Ding! Master has discovered black demon fatal poison, triggering 999 times comprehension ability. Ding! Congratulations, Master. You have successfully comprehended the high-grade profound rank, profound skill, black demon fatal palm. Ding! Congratulations, Master. for successfully comprehending the pill formula of the superior grade 3 pill, the 7 profound spirit-clearing pill. In addition, Jiyu's mind was flooded with a large amount of knowledge regarding the Black Fiend life-ending palm and the 7 profound spirit-clearing pill. The Black Fiend life extinguishing palm was a high-level, profound palm technique. If one was struck by the Black Fiend life extinguishing palm, a poisonous gas, known as the Black Fiend life extinguishing poison, would be left in one's body. This kind of poisonous gas would not kill people quickly. It would remain in the body and continue to torture the poisoned person. The 7 profound spirit-clearing pill was the antidote to this poison. Black Fiend life ending poison. So the Manorhead's wife was inflicted with this kind of poison. She was actually able to persevere after being tortured for so many years. Jiyu couldn't help but admire the extraordinary willpower of the mansion mistress. In his knowledge of the Black Fiend life extinguishing palm, it was mentioned that most people who were poisoned by the Black Fiend life extinguishing poison would not be poisoned to death, but they would usually commit suicide in less than a year. Because this kind of poison was constantly tormenting the poisoned person, ordinary people simply couldn't endure it. In comparison, how strong was the mansion mistress in front of him to be able to persevere until now? Jiyu simply couldn't imagine it. Right at this moment, the woman lying on the bed seemed to sense that someone had entered. She slowly opened her eyes and discovered that it was her daughter. A forced smile appeared on her pale and haggard face. "Yueshin, you're here." The woman found it difficult to even speak. Her voice sounded weak and feeble. In the next moment, she suddenly noticed that there was an unfamiliar young man standing beside Jiang Yueshin. She immediately asked, "Who is this?" "He's my friend. His name is Jiyu. I brought him with me to visit you, mother." Jiang Yueshin hurriedly squatted down and held the woman's trembling hands with both of her hands. After hearing Jiang Yueshin's words, the woman seemed to immediately understand something. Her murderous and gloomy eyes revealed a trace of relief. She turned her gaze to the young man standing beside Jiang Yueshin and slowly said, "I hope that young master can be more tolerant of Yueshin. She's still young and immature. She often throws tantrums." Jiang Yueshin understood the meaning behind her mother's words. Her face instantly became extremely bashful as she said in a delicate voice, "Mother, I don't have that kind of relationship with him." Jiyu, on the other hand, had a calm expression on her face. She focused all of her attention on her own mind and almost didn't hear what the mother and daughter were saying. She said in a serious tone, "I know what kind of poison is in Madam's body." "What kind of poison?" Jiang Yueshin blurted out. "Black Fiend lethal poison," Ji said in a low voice. Hearing the words Black Fiend lethal poison from the young man in front of her, the woman's eyes instantly widened. Her pupils moved and her face was filled with shock. "You can actually see through this poison?" The woman's voice was filled with shock. Because she was too agitated, she aggravated the poison in her body, causing her expression to become even more unbearable. "Mother, don't be so agitated." Seeing her mother in such a state, Jiang Yueshin immediately panicked. "That's right. I can see that the poison in your body is the Black Fiend lethal poison because I'm an alchemist." As Jiyu spoke, she revealed the alchemist badge that was originally concealed on her body. "So young master is an alchemist." The woman's expression gradually eased a little. She slowly closed her eyes and pleaded, "Young master, please forget what happened here today. Please don't tell Chu about this Black Fiend lethal poison." Hearing this, Jiyu narrowed her eyes. Did the mansion master's wife mean that she was going to give up? Jiang Yueshin naturally understood the meaning behind her words. "Mother, don't give up so quickly. Jiyu is a very powerful alchemist. Perhaps he can find a way to detoxify the poison." There was a hint of panic and sobbing in her tone. "Yueshin, promise mother. Don't create trouble for Ji Gongzi." Chapter 73. She had just seen that the badge on that youth was only a top grade 1 alchemist. Although the other party might have coincidentally understood the Black Demon deadly poison, but a top grade 1 alchemist would not be able to detoxify it. It was just that she did not want to say these words out loud. However, at this time, Ji suddenly opened his mouth. No, I really do have a way to detoxify it. The method to detoxify the black demon deadly poison was well remembered in his mind. The entire 7 profound spirit-clearing pill formula could not be more detailed. Wah! Ji sudden voice shocked the girl to the point that she could not speak. Really? Jiang Yuexin was also very excited. Her hands tightly grasped Ji shoulders as she lowered her head and begged. Ji, I beg you to save my mother. I beg you. Don't worry, I will do my best. Ji promised. No matter what, he had obtained a top-grade profound level palm technique from Jiang Yuexin's mother. This top-grade profound level palm technique, Black Demon Deadly Palm, was a very pleasant surprise to him. After all, the highest level profound level skill he had was only a low-grade profound level skill. Even in the entire Chaoyang ancient city, no one had a top-grade profound level skill. A low-grade profound level middle-grade profound level skill was also regarded as a family heirloom. Ordinary people did not have the qualifications to come into contact with it. Although the Black Demon Deadly Palm was very sinister, as long as it could increase his strength, he did not care so much. In addition, there was also a top-grade 3-pill formula for this 7 profound spirit-clearing pill. This kind of pill formula was very precious and rare. Many alchemy masters wanted to spend a sky-high price to buy this kind of top-grade 3-pill formula, but it was very difficult to do so. It was basically an existence that one could not ask for, and its value was not much inferior to the Black Demon Deadly Palm. Therefore, after taking benefits from others, he naturally had to help them. This was what it meant to be a kind person. What's more, Jiang Yuexin had saved his life before. He had not been able to repay that kindness. Although I don't know what kind of antidote Ji Gongzi has, I still hope that you can give up as soon as possible. After saying that, the woman's eyes flashed with a hint of hesitation. It seemed that there were still some things that she wanted to say, but she was hesitating whether she should say them or not. After a while, she sighed. Now that things have come to this, there's no need for me to continue hiding it. The woman looked at Jiang Yuexin and said, I don't know how many times your father has sought alchemists behind her back. No alchemist in the entire Chaoyang ancient city can detoxify this poison, even the president of the Chaoyang branch. How? How could this be? Jiang Yuexin felt as if she had been struck by lightning, and her face turned pale in an instant. How could she not know that the president of the Chaoyang branch was the most accomplished alchemist in the entire Chaoyang ancient city? If even that alchemist couldn't do anything, then there was really no saving him. It wasn't that she didn't believe in Ji, but even if Ji's alchemy skills were high, it was impossible for him to be better than the president of the Chaoyang branch. Don't worry. Although I can't immediately cure the Black Demon Deadly poison in your body, it's not a problem to alleviate the poison first. Looking at the mother and daughter, Ji scratched his head and said, Alleviate the poison? The woman was puzzled. She had never heard of the Black Demon Deadly poison being able to alleviate the poison. However, at this time, the Black Demon Deadly poison in her body was acting up more and more seriously, and it was so uncomfortable that she couldn't continue speaking. Ji nodded and said, Let's not talk about this. Madam, the poison in your body is very serious now. I'll go refine a pill first. After saying that, he directly walked out of the room. Seeing Ji suddenly walk out of the room, Jiang Yuexin shouted. She struggled for a moment, but still decided to follow him out. At this time, the woman on the bed didn't make a sound and quietly closed her eyes. She had already mentally prepared herself. No matter what the final result was, she now looked at it with a calm heart. Only her husband and daughter couldn't let go. They were the only ones she cared about for so many years. At the same time, outside the room, Ji quickly walked forward. Ji, wait, where are you going? Jiang Yuexin had already caught up from behind. I'm going to buy the materials needed to refine the spirit-cleansing pill, Ji said as he walked. Unfortunately, with my current level of alchemy, I can't completely eradicate the Black Demon Deadly poison in your mother's body. I can only use the spirit cleansing pill to alleviate the poison in your mother's body. Spirit cleansing pill? Jiang Yuexin had never heard of this kind of pill. In the next moment, she suddenly reacted. You're saying that the spirit cleansing pill can alleviate the poison in my mother's body? At this time, Jiang Yuexin didn't care about what kind of pill the spirit cleansing pill was. She urgently wanted to know if this kind of pill could really alleviate the poison. Every time she thought of the pain caused by the black demon deadly poison, her heart felt as if it was being cut by a knife. Chapter 74. Yes. Ji nodded and said, the clear spirit pill can effectively relieve the poison in your mother's body, so it's not difficult to refine it. Previously, when he was trying to understand the 7 profound spirit pill in his mind, he had seen some information regarding the clear spirit pill. The clear spirit pill was a type of medium grade 2 pill. In layman's terms, it was a low-grade version of the 7 profound spirit pill. The clear spirit pill was also effective against the black demon deadly poison, but its effect was much worse than the 7 profound spirit pill. Its effect was far from enough to completely eradicate the black demon deadly poison. At most, it could only temporarily relieve the effects of the black demon deadly poison. However, it was not only to relieve the effects of the poison, but also to gain more time to improve his alchemy skills. Currently, Ji is only a medium grade 2 alchemist. It was enough to refine the clear spirit pill, but it was far from enough to refine the 7 profound spirit pill. A while ago, he found out that there was a limit to the 999 times success rate that was triggered by the system. As long as the level of the pill did not exceed his alchemist level, the 999 times success rate would be automatically triggered. Otherwise, it would not be triggered. His alchemist level was only a medium grade 2 alchemist, and the 7 profound spirit pill was only a high grade 3rd grade pill. It would not be able to trigger the 999 times success rate, so it was impossible to successfully refine it. Thus, he had to fight for enough time to raise his alchemy skills to a high grade 3rd grade alchemist. Even though it had not been long since the end of the recruitment exam, Jiyu's name had already spread to the ears of more than half of the people in Chaoyang Ancient City. When Jiyu was on his way to the Chaoyang branch to purchase materials, almost everyone recognized him. Not a single one of them did not respect him, and no one dared to come out and find trouble with him. Ding! Master has taken a step. Low-grade profound rank profound skill 1000 illusory flash gained experience. Won by 999 times. Ding! Master has taken a step. Low-grade profound rank profound skill 1000 illusory flash gained experience. Won by 999 times. Ding! Congratulations, Master. Low-grade profound rank profound skill 1000 illusory flash has successfully broken through to the perfection realm. Not long after, Jiyu arrived at the Chaoyang branch. Along the way, she had also broken through to the perfection realm. He had been to the Chaoyang branch many times, so he knew this place like the back of his hand. He quickly began to purchase materials to avoid wasting time. When the person in charge of the transaction of alchemy materials saw that it was a regular customer, his efficiency was very fast. In a short while, he helped Jiyu gather all the materials needed to refine the clear spirit pill. Looking at these materials, a glimmer of hope lit up in Jiang Yuexin's eyes. She was extremely excited. Thank you. Jiyu nodded politely before placing the materials into her storage ring and leaving. At this moment, he suddenly realized that there was a familiar figure walking towards him not far in front of him. The woman wore a pure and flawless white dress. Her face was cold and beautiful. Yu Shuyan. Jiyu immediately recognized this beautiful woman as Yu Shuyan. Jiyu. Chapter 75. I haven't seen you for a long time. I didn't expect you to be the #1 martial genius in Chaoyang Ancient City. Yu Shuyan walked over and said. Obviously, she already knew about Jiyu's performance in the Chun Manor's entrance examination. She could defeat Qinyan with only 3 punches. She was definitely the #1 martial genius. Sorry, I have something urgent to do now. Miss you. Please leave the matter for another time. Ji bowed to Yu Shuyun and then walked past Yu Shuyun. He could guess that Yu Shuyun's sudden appearance definitely meant that she was looking for him for something. However, he didn't have much free time now. He had to rush back to refine the spirit-cleansing pill. Yu Shuyun's face suddenly revealed a trace of surprise, because Ji Yu's reaction surprised her. However, her expression soon returned to normal as she watched Ji Yu leave with a young girl. This young girl, Yu Shuyun felt that the young girl behind Ji Yu looked familiar. She then remembered that this girl seemed to be the second miss of the City Lord Manor. Many people nearby heard the conversation between Ji Yu and Yu Shuyun and started whispering. Damn, as expected of Ji Yu. Only he would treat Yu Shuyun like this, right? This is really awesome. In the past, Yu Shuyun rarely took the initiative to look for others. Who knows how many young talents in Chaoyang Ancient City wanted to kneel down and lick her, but didn't have a chance. However, Ji Yu just said that he had something urgent to do and left. After all, he is the #1 martial genius. Even Chun Yin, who has awakened the acquired spiritual body, was completely defeated by him. His status is not lower than Yu Shuyun. There is no need to curry favor with Yu Shuyun. I don't think it's that simple. Didn't you notice that the second miss of the City Lord Manor has been following Ji Yu? Maybe there is some unspeakable secret between the three of them. Yu Shuyun acted as if she didn't hear anything. Her face was still as cold as ice. Yu Shuyun quietly looked at Ji Yu's back as she left, a faint light flashing in her cold eyes. At this time, Ji Yu was on her way back to the City Lord's mansion. Behind him, Jiang Yuexin was a little restless. She looked a little worried. After a while, she finally couldn't help but ask, Ji Yu, who was that woman just now? Haven't you seen her before? She is the daughter of the president of the Chuyang branch. She is also a rare genius in alchemy. Her name is Yu Shuyun. As she spoke, a hint of surprise flashed through Ji Yu's eyes. He thought that Jiang Yuexin knew Yu Shuyun. After all, Yu Shuyun was quite famous in Chaoyang Ancient City. It's Yu Shuyun? I've heard of her name before, but I've never seen her before. Jiang Yuexin was a little surprised. That's true. I heard that she rarely appears in front of outsiders. Ji Yu thought about it and found that to be true. He had heard that Yu Shuyun rarely appeared. Most people who had heard of Yu Shuyun's name had never seen Yu Shuyun before. In fact, what Jiang Yuexin wanted to know the most wasn't that woman's name. She immediately asked, Yu Shuyun, what's your relationship with that woman? At this time, Jiang Yuexin's tone sounded a little vigilant and uneasy. Relationship? Ji Yu thought for a moment and casually said, It's not a big deal. I don't lose to her. Then why did she suddenly come to find you? Didn't you say that she rarely appears in front of outsiders? Jiang Yuexin asked again. How am I supposed to ask you? At this moment, Ji Yu only felt a burst of F***CK in his heart. How would he know why Yu Shuyun suddenly came to find him? I don't care. I just want to know why that woman is looking for you. Jiang Yuexin said coquettishly and unreasonably. Chapter 76. I really don't know. Ji Yu was quite helpless. Let's not talk about this for now. The most important thing now is to go back and treat your mother's poison. Okay. Hearing the word mother, Jiang Yuexin could only listen obediently. However, the more Ji Yu didn't say, the more she cared about that woman named Yu Shuyun. She didn't know why, but when she thought about that woman and Ji Yu might have some kind of relationship, she felt uncomfortable in her heart. Although she wasn't very sure why Jiang Yuexin suddenly threw a tantrum, Ji Yu didn't care too much about it. Instead, she quickened her pace and rushed back to the City Lord's mansion. Soon, Ji Yu and Jiang Yuexin arrived at the City Lord's mansion. I'll be refining the spirit-cleansing pill outside. See if you want to go in and take care of your mother. When they arrived in front of the small house, Ji Yu said to Jiang Yuexin, Okay, I'll go in first. Jiang Yuexin nodded and walked into the small house. Then, Ji Yu took out a pill refining furnace and a few sets of ingredients needed to refine the spirit-cleansing pill from her storage ring. Ding! Detected that Master has begun refining the medium-grade 2-pill spirit-cleansing pill. The success rate of refining the pill has increased by 999 times. In the instant that he put the first set of ingredients into the pill refining furnace, the system gave him a success rate of 999 times. After almost 2 hours, all the ingredients in the pill refining furnace were finally melted into liquid pills. At this moment, GU instantly formed a pill refining hand seal. Ding! Master has successfully refined a medium-grade 2-pill spirit cleansing pill. Pill Dao attainment obtained experience points, 300 by 999 times. After refining the first spirit cleansing pill, GU didn't continue to refine the second one. Instead, she quickly walked into the small house. At this moment, Jiang Yuexin was sitting in front of the bed and taking care of her mother. Seeing GU suddenly walk in from outside, she immediately looked at GU with an expectant gaze and asked, "Has the pill been refined?" "Yes, this is the spirit cleansing pill. Just feed it to her." GU walked over and handed the clear spirit pill to Jiang Yuexin. Jiang Yuexin immediately became excited. Her hands trembled as she took the spirit cleansing pill. This small pill was able to alleviate the pain her mother was suffering. How could she not be excited? This is... The woman on the bed looked at the pill in Jiang Yuexin's hand and asked in a weak voice. Jiang Yuexin said, "Mother, this is a medicinal pill refined by GU. You won't feel so uncomfortable after eating it." What a silly child. The woman shook her head weakly and smiled. She still felt that there was no cure for the black demon deadly poison in her body. It was a pity that she wasted Ji Gongzi's energy and time. However, in order not to make her daughter sad, she still slowly ate the spirit cleansing pill. The moment the pill entered her mouth, the woman instantly felt a cool feeling spread from her mouth to her whole body. While she was still feeling wonderful about this cool feeling, she suddenly found that her whole body was no longer as painful as before. The black demon aura in the woman's eyes was about to disappear. It was replaced by shock. Everything happened so quickly and suddenly that she couldn't believe it was real. "Mother, how do you feel now?" Jiang Yuexin asked in a very urgent tone. Hearing Jiang Yuexin's voice, the woman finally regained her senses. Until now, her eyes were still filled with disbelief. Her face was a little sluggish as she replied, I really don't feel as uncomfortable as before." "That's great, that's really great." Hearing this, Jiang Yuexin's eyebrows immediately relaxed. Her face was filled with joy. In the next moment, she suddenly stood up and couldn't help but hug GU tightly in front of her. She cried tears of joy. Jiang Yuexin buried her face in GU's broad chest and couldn't help but cry. Feeling that petite body slightly trembling, GU couldn't help but soften. He reached out and gently stroked Jiang Yuexin's hair. This time, Jiang Yuexin didn't resist like before. Instead, she allowed GU to touch her. Seeing this scene, the woman's face revealed a warm smile. After a while, Jiang Yuexin realized that her mother was still watching. Chapter 77. Looking at Jiang Yuexin's expression, GU smiled but didn't say anything. "All right, since Madam's poison has been suppressed, I'll continue to refine pills." After saying that, GU walked out of the small room and prepared to refine the remaining ingredients. He had only refined one spirit cleansing pill before, and the remaining ingredients outside were enough to refine a few more. At this time, the woman still hadn't recovered from the shock just now. She asked curiously, "Yuexin, is this Ji Gongzi?" Her husband had been searching for so many years, and even the Chuyang branch president couldn't do anything about the black murderous poison. But this young man actually reduced the poison's effects. After that, Jiang Yuexin sat by the bed and told her mother everything that had happened between her and GU from beginning to end. As she listened, the woman's expression gradually became a little ambiguous. As soon as she heard that, she understood that her daughter had already fallen deeply in love with him. "Yuexin, you should like that Ji Gongzi, right?" The woman looked at Jiang Yuexin with an I know expression. No. Jiang Yuexin was shocked. She shyly lowered her head and denied it very softly. Don't be so shy. There's only us here. Mother won't say anything if you tell her in private. The woman smiled. Hmm. Jiang Yuexin was still very shy. She stuttered, I like him. Although she didn't really understand what kind of feeling she had for Jiyu, she knew that she should like Jiyu. She just didn't know how Jiyu felt about her. See, it's better to be more honest like this, the woman said with a smile. If you can be more honest with Ji Gongzi, he'll definitely like you too. Oh, really? Jiang Yuexin asked with a very concerned expression. Of course it's true. The woman held Jiang Yuexin's hand and said seriously, You are so cute. He will definitely be charmed by you. Jiang Yuexin blushed as she nodded and answered softly. At this moment, her face was filled with a joyful smile. At the same time, he told himself that he would try to muster up his courage next time and be a little more frank. Mother will cheer you on, the woman encouraged. Speaking of which, Mother, do you really not feel uncomfortable now? Jiang Yuexin was still a little worried. It's true. Mother's body is very good now, and she's slowly recovering. She should be able to get out of bed in a few days. The woman nodded. Although there was still some poison in her body, she didn't know how many years it had been since she felt so comfortable. It's all thanks to Jiyu. If it wasn't for him, I really don't know what to do. Even now, Jiang Yuexin still felt a lingering fear and couldn't help but hug the woman. That's why you should try to be more forthright later and properly thank young Master Ji. How about it? The woman comforted Jiang Yuexin and said gently. Okay, Jiang Yuexin responded in a small voice. Ji saved her mother's life this time. She felt that she had to be honest for once. Chapter 78. Ding! It has been detected that Master has begun to refine the medium grade 2 pill, spirit cleansing pill. The success rate has increased by 999 times. At this moment, Jiyu is refining the second spirit cleansing pill outside the house. Although he had already alleviated the poison in the mansion mistress's body, it could only last for a while. Therefore, he had to refine a few more spirit cleansing pills so that the mansion mistress could last for a while longer. Ding! Master has successfully refined a medium grade 2 pill, spirit cleansing pill. Experience gained in alchemy, 300 by 999 times. Ding! Master has successfully refined a medium grade 2 pill, spirit cleansing pill. Experience gained in alchemy, 300 by 999 times. Ding! Congratulations, Master. Your alchemy attainment has successfully broken through to a superior grade 2 alchemist. After about 4 hours, 5 spirit cleansing pills appeared in Jiyu's hands. Not only that, refining these 5 spirit cleansing pills had also allowed him to advance to a superior grade 2 alchemist. He could now begin to refine superior grade 2 pills. At some point, Jiang Yuexin had already walked out of the house. She sat by the door and looked at Jiyu in a daze. Jiyu turned around and saw Jiang Yuexin. He immediately said, The spirit cleansing pill from before can only last for 10 days at most. I've refined another 5 spirit cleansing pills. You can keep them for yourself or your mother in case of future trouble. As he spoke, Jiyu walked over and handed the 5 spirit cleansing pills to Jiang Yuexin. Hearing Jiyu's voice, Jiang Yuexin came back to her senses and took the 5 spirit cleansing pills from Jiyu. She seemed to be a little absent-minded. Her face revealed a faint blush, as if she wanted to do something but was too embarrassed to do it. What's wrong? Seeing Jiang Yuexin holding the spirit cleansing pills, but not moving, Jiyu asked with a puzzled expression. Jiang Yuexin struggled for a while before she finally mustered up her courage and made up her mind. She murmured, Thank you. Jiang Yuexin's voice was as soft as a mosquito's. However, at Jiyu's current level of cultivation, his hearing was different from ordinary people's. He could barely hear Jiang Yuexin's voice. Jiyu nodded and smiled. At the same time, he was slightly surprised that this girl actually knew how to thank him. Then I'll go in first. Jiang Yuexin ran into the hut like a frightened rabbit. Her mouth was filled with a joyful smile. Ji Yu followed him and unhurriedly, thinking about something else. At present, although I've already reached the level of a superior second-grade alchemist, I am still very far away from refining a superior third-grade pill, the 7 profound spirit-clearing pill. During this period of time, I will speed up my alchemy attainments. Ji Yu thought to himself as he walked into the hut. The fastest way to improve one's alchemy attainments was to obtain 999 times the experience through refining pills. Inside the hut, the woman on the bed looked at Jiang Yuexin, who walked in and smiled kindly. Yuexin, did you do it? Yes, I did. Jiang Yuexin nodded happily, but there was still a trace of shyness on her face. Also, Mother, Ji Yu just refined 5 spirit-clearing pills. He said that the effect of 1 spirit-clearing pill can only last for 10 days. He asked you to keep it as a backup. With that, Jiang Yuexin placed the 5 spirit-clearing pills in the woman's hand. I got it. The woman nodded slightly. At this moment, she saw Ji Yu come in and said gratefully, Ji Gongzi, thank you so much this time. It's nothing. Ji Yu waved his hand and said modestly. Chapter 79. I really don't know how to repay you. At this moment, the woman suddenly thought of something and turned to Jiang Yuexin. Yuexin, go and tell your father about this. At the mention of her father, Jiang Yuexin's smile gradually disappeared. She looked a little reluctant. The woman seemed to have seen through Jiang Yuexin's thoughts and advised her earnestly, be good, Yuexin. Your father has his own difficulties. Difficulties? Jiang Yuexin muttered softly and then shook her head, as if she was still unwilling to meet that man. Yuexin, listen to me. No matter how many bad things your father has done, don't hate him. If you want to hate someone, hate me. It was my mistake back then that caused him to become like this. The woman said in a sorrowful tone. Mistake back then? Ji Yu's eyes flashed. The words of the Manorhead's wife had caught his attention. Yes. If I hadn't insisted on doing that, I wouldn't have been poisoned by the black demon fatal poison, and Jiang Zhongtian wouldn't have become like this. The woman said, Jiang Zhongtian? Are you talking about Manorhead Jiang? Ji Yu asked. That's right. My husband's name is Jiang Zhongtian. The woman nodded. Then, Madam, can you tell me in detail what happened back then? Ji Yu was a little curious about what happened back then. It's all in the past. There's no need to mention it again. The woman shook her head. Hearing that the Manorhead's wife was unwilling to talk about the past, Ji Yu didn't continue to ask. Besides, he was just curious. There was no need to get to the bottom of it. When the time came to refine the 7 profound spirit-clearing pill, everything would be settled. Mother, you rest here first. I'll go tell father now. At this moment, Jiang Yuexin sighed and said solemnly. With that, she grabbed Ji Yu's hand and left the room. Looking at the backs of the 2 people leaving, the woman smiled with relief. She was dragged away by Jiang Yuexin again. Ji Yu asked in confusion, Why do you have to drag me along? Can't you go alone? Idiot. Jiang Yuexin pouted playfully, then said in a voice as soft as a mosquito's fly, If you're not here, I feel a little uneasy. All right. Hearing this, Ji Yu smiled faintly. Not long after, Jiang Yuexin dragged Ji Yu to the door of Manorhead Jiang's room. Jiang Yuexin, who was walking in front of Ji Yu, slowly hid behind Ji Yu. She tugged at the corner of Ji Yu's clothes and whispered, Go open the door. Why? As soon as Ji Yu asked this question, he seemed to suddenly understand something. Previously, when she was with the Manorhead's wife, Jiang Yuexin actually didn't particularly hate Manorhead Jiang. Instead, it was because after Jiang Yuexin found out the truth, she felt a trace of guilt towards Manorhead Jiang. This trace of guilt made Jiang Yuexin too embarrassed to continue facing Manorhead Jiang. Jiang Yuexin's current thoughts were more or less the same as what Ji Yu had guessed. Although her father's actions these past few years were very overboard, when she thought about how those actions were all for her mother's sake, she couldn't bring herself to hate him. Not only couldn't she bring herself to hate him, but she also felt a little guilty. Why do you care so much? Just go when I tell you to. Jiang Yuexin said unreasonably. Yes, yes, yes. Ji Yu smiled, then stepped forward to open the door. Soon after, he heard Manor Head Zhang's voice. Who is it? Inside the room, Jiang Zhongtian was reviewing some things when he suddenly heard someone open the door. He raised his head and saw that the person who entered was Ji Yu. He immediately changed his tone and asked, Little friend Ji Yu, what is the matter? It's not that I have something to say, but Jiang Yuexin is looking for you. Ji Yu said calmly. Jiang Yuexin? Jiang Zhongtian tilted his head slightly, only to discover that Jiang Yuexin was hiding behind Ji Yu. Ji Yu used his elbow to lightly nudge Jiang Yuexin behind him, then said in a low voice, It's fine. Just say what you want to say. Hearing Ji Yu's words, Jiang Yuexin could only take a small breath, then mustered her courage and walked out from behind Ji Yu. However, her gaze was a little erratic, like a little girl who had done something wrong, not daring to meet her father's gaze. If there's nothing important, then don't disturb me. Seeing that Jiang Yuexin still wasn't speaking, Jiang Zhongtian said impatiently, No. Chapter 80. Jiang Zhongtian was slightly taken aback. Jiang Yuexin's behavior today made him feel a little strange. Mother, she can be saved. Jiang Yuexin lowered her head and said. Originally, she still felt a trace of guilt towards Jiang Zhongtian, but Jiang Zhongtian's impatient tone just now had agitated her. What did you say? Hearing Jiang Yuexin's words, Jiang Zhongtian was so agitated that he instantly slammed the table and stood up. If you believe me, then go and see Mother. After saying this, Jiang Yuexin turned and left. Ji Yu lightly clicked his tongue and helplessly shook his head. This manor head Jiang really made people speechless. He didn't plan to stay here any longer, so he also left with Jiang Yuexin. Only Jiang Zhongtian was left standing there stiffly, his face full of shock. After a while, he gradually regained his senses. Recalling what Jiang Yuexin had just said, he almost crazily rushed out of the door. At this moment, Jiang Yuexin didn't return to her mother's small room. Instead, she was wandering around the city lord's estate. Don't you want to go back and take a look? Normally, Manor Head Jiang should be at your mother's place soon. Ji Yu walked beside Jiang Yuexin and asked as she walked. No need. Jiang Yuexin shook her head. Although she still felt that she hated that man, she could tell from her mother's words that that man always cared about her mother very much. Once that man saw that her mother had recovered a lot, he would definitely show the kind of mushy scene that she didn't like. Thus, she didn't plan to go back. No matter what, the result is still good. When the time comes, I will refine the 7 profound spirit clearing pill, and it will be a perfect ending. Ji said. Speaking of which, even the president of the Choyang branch couldn't do anything about the Black Fiend lethal poison. How did you know that the spirit clearing pill could reduce the poison's effects? Jiang Yuexin was suddenly concerned about this issue and asked. She had heard from Ji Yu that the spirit cleansing pill was a medium-level second-level pill. The famous president of the Chaoyang branch was a third-level alchemist. How could he not know about the spirit cleansing pill? It couldn't be that he didn't want to help on purpose, right? If it was true, then it was too despicable. Because I'm the only one in the entire Chaoyang branch who knows the antidote to the black demon poison. Even the Chaoyang branch leader doesn't know. As for how I know, that's a secret. Ji Yu said with a mysterious smile. The Black Fiend Life Extinguishing Poison was caused by the Black Fiend Life Extinguishing Palm, and the Black Fiend Life Extinguishing Palm was a high-level, profound skill that was not something the people of Choyang Ancient City could come into contact with. Thus, no one knew how to deal with this poison. It could only be said that the system in his body was too awesome. It could comprehend the corresponding antidote just by looking at the poisoned person. If you don't want to say it, then don't say it. Stingy. Jiang Yuexin said with a tisk. Jiang Yuexin, that person over there should be your sister, right? At this moment, Ji Yu pointed in a certain direction and suddenly said. Hearing this, Jiang Yuexin immediately looked in the direction that Ji Yu pointed and realized that it was indeed her sister. She could see that there was a beautiful girl in a red dress on a martial arts field not far away. She seemed to be practicing a certain sword technique. Jiang Yuexin's footsteps gradually quickened. Previously, when she found out about her sister's experience from Ji Yu's guess, her feelings for her sister were even more special. "Sister, aren't you going to rest first?" Soon, Jiang Yuexin arrived at the martial arts field and shouted at Jiang Yuechu, who was practicing her sword technique. "Why are you here?" Suddenly, when she heard Jiang Yuexin's voice, Jiang Yuechu was slightly surprised. In her impression, her sister didn't like the martial arts field and hadn't been here for a long time. However, in the next moment, Jiang Yuechu's tone suddenly changed. She said coldly, "Didn't I tell you not to call me sister?" "Sister," Jiang Yuexin opened her mouth slightly and looked like she wanted to say something but stopped. At this moment, Ji Yu suddenly said, "Jiang Yuechu, I can roughly guess why you deliberately pretended to be cold to your sister." Suddenly, Jiang Yuechu's pupils contracted slightly. Obviously, Ji was right. However, she still said stubbornly, "I didn't deliberately pretend to be cold to her." Chapter 81. If I'm not wrong, you probably don't want your father, Mannerhead Jiang, to see how close you and your sister are. That's why you purposely gave Jiang Yuexin the cold shoulder. Ji Yu said calmly, "You want to pretend that you have nothing to do with Jiang Yuexin. That way, you can silently bear everything on your own. Am I right?" At this moment, Jiang Yuechu's expression finally changed. She could no longer remain calm. "Looking at you like this, it seems that I'm right," Ji Yu said with a smile. He could guess this because he didn't see the slightest bit of disgust in Jiang Yuechu's eyes at all. Furthermore, Jiang Yuechu was still very normal just a moment ago. The next moment, she suddenly became cold and indifferent, giving off a very deliberate feeling. Logically speaking, if Jiang Yuechu really hated her younger sister, she shouldn't have acted like this. Combined with the matter between Mannerhead Jiang and his wife, he could more or less guess what was going on. Jiang Yuechu couldn't refute Ji Yu's words. She bit her lower lip with her pearly white teeth and averted her gaze. "Older sister, why are you acting the same as this guy?" Jiang Yuexin immediately put her hands on her hips and pretended to be angry. Jiang Yuexin's current appearance was as if she had become the older sister and was scolding her younger sister. Hey, why are you suddenly dragging me into this?" Ji Yu said with a slightly helpless expression. "Why do you all like to bear everything on your own? Why don't you tell me?" Jiang Yuexin sighed and said, "But it doesn't matter. Mother's condition is much better now. Father shouldn't be like before either." In reality, she wasn't really angry. It was just that her feelings were a little complicated. What did you say happened to Mother?" Jiang Yuechu seemed like she couldn't believe what she had just heard. Her face was full of disbelief. Ji Yu personally refined a kind of pill that suppressed the poison in Mother's body. "Mother is now out of danger," Jiang Yuexin said. "Out of danger?" Jiang Yuechu's lips trembled slightly as she said excitedly, "I'm going to see my mother." As she spoke, she threw away the sword in her hand without caring about the sword technique she was practicing. It was unknown what kind of powerful movement technique she used, but in a short while, she disappeared from sight. "Continue? Or do you want to go back with your sister?" At this time, Ji Yu asked Jiang Yuexin. Jiang Yuexin shook her head slightly. "I'm not going back. I want to walk with you." However, she was too embarrassed to say the second half of the sentence. "Yes," Ji Yu said casually. He didn't mind at all. He could go to the Qianyuan martial house any time within a month. He was not in a hurry. These few days, he could relax a little. Ji Yu and Jiang Yuexin were strolling leisurely along a shady path. They were talking and laughing, and the atmosphere was very good. At this time, it was already late. The setting sun hung in the air like a jade plate. Jiang Yuexin looked at the beautiful scene in front of her and slowly shifted her gaze to Ji Yu's handsome face. She did not know why, but she suddenly felt a stirring in her heart. "Ji Yu, I have something to tell you," Jiang Yuexin whispered softly. Her jade cheeks were slightly red, and her long eyelashes were trembling slightly. In the light of the setting sun, She looked more attractive and lovely. What? When Ji turned his head to look at Jiang Yuexin, suddenly, a cold voice came from not far behind. I finally found you. Hearing that someone was coming, Jiang Yuexin was shocked. She was about to say something, but she forcibly swallowed the words she was about to say. Ji also looked back subconsciously and found that Yu Shuyun was coming from behind. You actually found this place? Ji was a little surprised. Why can't I find this place? Yu Shuyun said with a cold face. In Ji opinion, Yu Shuyun was a real cold beauty. No matter who she faced, she had a feeling that strangers should not approach her. In contrast, Jiang Yuechu was different. Although Jiang Yuechu usually looked cold, it was basically a pretense. In fact, she was a very normal girl. No, I'm just a little surprised. Ji said, when are you free? I have something to ask you. Yu Shuyun asked. Chapter 82. I'm free now. Ji said, all right, come with me now. With that, Yu Shuyun turned around and was about to leave. But at this time, she suddenly felt a sense of hostility from the girl beside Ji Yu. Yu Shuyun looked coldly at Jiang Yuexin and slowly said, if I remember correctly, you should be the second miss of the City Lord's mansion, Jiang Yuexin, right? That's me. Jiang Yuexin stared sharply at Yu Shuyun, her eyes full of hostility. You're that famous pill, Dao, genius Yu Shuyun. Why are you looking for Ji that's not convenient to say directly here? Yu Shuyun frowned slightly. She didn't know why the girl in front of her was so hostile to her. She didn't remember offending anyone from the City Lord's mansion. There are some things that are not convenient to say in front of outsiders. Yu Shuyun said coldly. What do you mean? Do you think I'm an outsider? Jiang Yuexin said with dissatisfaction. I don't mean to target you. This matter can't be revealed to anyone other than me and him. Yu Shuyun's expression remained the same. Why don't you wait here first? I'll come find you later. Ji suddenly said to Jiang Yuexin. Ji didn't realize the seriousness of the problem at this time. He was just a little confused. Why did Jiang Yuexin have a problem with Yu Shuyun as soon as they met? The two of them clearly hadn't seen each other many times before this. Hearing Ji Yu's words, Jiang Yuexin was slightly stunned. Then, she slowly lowered her head and was silent for a moment. Then, she quickly walked away without saying a word. After walking for an unknown distance, Jiang Yuexin came to a pond and gradually slowed down her pace. She complained to herself, really, why do I care so much about that hateful bastard? That bastard. While complaining, Jiang Yuexin suddenly recalled that she was interrupted by Yu Shuyun when she was about to say something. When she thought about how Ji actually spoke up for that woman, she became even angrier. She stomped her feet and said, bastard, 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 bastard. On the other side, Ji looked in the direction that Jiang Yuexin had left and couldn't help but be a little concerned. He felt that there was something wrong with Jiang Yuexin just now, although he didn't know why Jiang Yuexin became like that. He planned to quickly deal with this matter and then find Jiang Yuexin. There shouldn't be anyone else nearby. Let's just talk here. At this time, Yu Shuyun said, do you remember what I told you in private? I remember. You said that when I became a second-grade alchemist, you had something very important to ask of me. Ji thought for a moment and said, that's right. Yu Shuyun said, then what level of attainment have you reached in alchemy now? I've already broken through. Ji said casually. Very good. Yu Shuyun nodded in satisfaction. Previously, the other party's alchemy level was very close to that of a second-grade alchemist. Now that the other party said that she had broken through, it must be that she had broken through to the second-grade alchemist level. However, what Yu Shuyun didn't expect was that Ji was far from just breaking through to the second-grade alchemist level. She was already close to the third-grade alchemist level. I hope you listen carefully to what I'm going to say next. Yu Shuyun's tone suddenly became serious. Please go ahead. Ji nodded. You should know that the Alchemist Guild in our Chaoyang branch is only a branch. That's why it's called Chaoyang branch. Yu Shuyun said. Chapter 83. There are many ancient cities in the Kanglan Empire, and there's an alchemist guild in each of them. Although they all belong to the same faction, there's still intense competition between them. Yu Shuyun continued. Ji Yu listened quietly without making sound. Although she did not get to the main point, she knew it was not a small matter when she mentioned all the alchemist guilds in the Kanglan Empire. Among them, the most representative one, and also the one with the most intense competition, is the Alchemy Conference. Yu Shuyun continued. The Alchemy Conference that's held once a year is held by all the alchemist guild branches in the Kanglan Empire. Every alchemist guild branch will send young alchemists to participate in the Alchemy Conference as representatives. Those who perform well will be able to further their studies at the Alchemist Guild. Ji Yu seemed to have understood something after hearing Yu Shuyun's explanation. So, you're planning to ask me to participate in the Alchemy Conference? Ji Yu asked tentatively. That's right. Yu Shuyun nodded and said, You're very talented in alchemy. If you team up with me in this Alchemy Conference, you'll have a chance to get a good ranking. Why team up? Is there only a duo competition and not a single competition? Ji Yu asked curiously. Yu Shuyun shook her head and said no. The Alchemy Conference has both a single competition and a duo competition. However, there are too many monstrous geniuses participating in the single competition. The competition is very fierce. In comparison, the duo competition is much easier. I see. When will the Alchemy Conference begin? Ji Yu asked. This year's Alchemy Conference will begin in half a month's time. It'll be held in the Bright Sun Ancient City that's close to our Chaoyang Ancient City. It won't delay your trip to the Qianyuan Martial Mansion. Yu Shuyun said. All right, here's the question. What's the reward? Ji Yu was very direct. If someone wanted his help, they would talk about the reward unless he was indebted to them. Without enough reward, he would not give them any face even if they were beautiful. You don't have to worry about the reward. Yu Shuyun's expression didn't change at all, as if she had been prepared for this. This is the Cyan Light Seal, a medium-grade alchemy seal. If you agree to participate in the Alchemy Conference with me, I'll give you this alchemy seal. She took out a secret manual and said, Aside from this, if we successfully obtain a ranking in the Alchemy Conference, all the rewards will be yours. I don't want a single one. Deal. Ji Yu took the Cyan Ray Seal manual and immediately agreed. Alchemy hand seals were extremely important to alchemists. In order to become an alchemist, one must first learn an alchemy hand seal. When Ji Yu first became a grade 1 alchemist through the system, she already had her own alchemy hand seal. However, that was only the most basic alchemy hand seal, which didn't help him much. In layman's terms, the alchemy hand seal was a type of buff that could enhance the alchemist's abilities. A medium grade 2 alchemy hand seal was extremely terrifying. It was enough for all the alchemists in Chaoyang Ancient City to fight for this Cyan Ray seal. Although you could trigger a 999 times success rate when refining pills, the Cyan Ray seal was still very useful to her. For example, it could increase her refining speed, control of the fire, and other aspects. Then it's a deal. Yu Shuyun said, Remember to look for me at the Chuyang branch in half a month's time. Okay. Ji Yu nodded. All right, there's one more thing. At this moment, Yu Shuyun seemed to have recalled something. When you were wanted by the Chun family, I happened to be in seclusion, so I couldn't help you at that time. Speaking of this, she didn't understand why she had to explain this to Lin Huang. Then, I'll take my leave first. Without waiting for Ji Yu to say anything, Yu Shuyun floated away. After the matter was settled, Ji Yu immediately looked in the direction Jiang Yuexin had left. After a while, he finally found Jiang Yuexin. At this moment, Jiang Yuexin was kicking a small stone by the pond. She seemed to be angry. Chapter 84. It's getting late. It's time to go back. Ji Yu walked to Jiang Yuexin and said. Hearing Ji Yu's voice, Jiang Yuexin was startled. Even now, she was still angry. She pouted and said, You still know to come back. Why didn't you go back with that woman? Why should I go back with her? Ji Yu didn't care. Let's go. Your mother will be worried if it's too late. As she spoke, Ji Yu walked to the front. The topic was changed by Ji Yu. Jiang Yuexin didn't know what to say, so she followed him. After a while, they returned to the small house. Jiang Yuexin stopped when they were near the door. Jiyu also stopped and said to Jiang Yuexin, "Let's go in. Your father and sister should be inside." "Okay." Jiang Yuexin took a deep breath and strode into the small house. Jiyu didn't go in with her. Instead, he turned around and left. After all, it was someone else's family inside. He didn't need to go in. After that, Jiyu walked out of the castle and mansion. He was going to find a place to stay. He didn't want to live under someone else's roof. Jiyu didn't lack gold coins now. He found a random hotel and rented a room for a month. He would leave Chaoyang Ancient City and go to the Qianyuan Martial House in less than a month. So he only rented a room for a month. After paying the rent, Jiyu walked into his room. He found that the environment here was good. Everything was normal. It was worth the money. Sitting on the bed, Jiyu immediately flipped open the Alchemy Hand Seal secret manual that Yu Shuyan had given her earlier. Ding! Master has taken a look at the Cyan Light Seal, Class 2 Medium Alchemy Seal. 999 times comprehension ability has been triggered. Ding! Congratulations, Master, for successfully comprehending the medium-grade 2-pill refinement hand seal, the Cyan Light Seal. With just one look, Jiyu mastered the Cyan Light Seal. Then, he prepared to refine a pill to test out the effects of this Cyan Light Seal. He immediately took out the pill furnace and pill refinement materials from his storage ring and began to refine the mystic gathering powder. Ding! It has been detected that Master has begun to refine the second-grade lower-class pill profound gathering powder. The success rate of refining pills has increased by 999 times. Ding! Master has performed the Grade 2 Medium Alchemy Hand Seal, Grade 2 Medium Alchemy Hand Seal, Grade 2 Medium Alchemy Hand Seal. Experience gained 300 by 999 times. While concocting the pills, Jiyu displayed the Cyan Light Seal, and a faint cyan light appeared in his hand. About 10 minutes later. Ding! Master has successfully refined an inferior Grade 2 medicinal pill, profound gathering powder. Experience gained in alchemy attainment, 200 by 999 times. It only took him 10 minutes to refine a second-grade lower-class pill. Jiyu was instantly overjoyed. It had to be known that before this, he had to spend around 20 to 30 minutes to successfully refine a single profound gathering powder. Compared to before, his pill refinement efficiency had at least doubled, and this was all thanks to the Cyan Light Seal. It could be seen that this Grade 2 Medium Alchemy Hand Seal was very powerful. Moreover, he had yet to raise the level of the Cyan Light Seal. If he could raise it to the final level of greater perfection, wouldn't that be awesome? Thinking of this, Jiyu immediately began to practice the Cyan Light Seal. Ding! Master took a look at the Grade 2 Middle Grade Alchemy Hand Seal, Cyan Light Seal. Grade 2 Middle Grade Alchemy Hand Seal, Cyan Light Seal. Ding! Master has taken a look at the Grade 2 Medium Alchemy Hand Seal, Cyan Light Seal, Grade 2 Medium Alchemy Hand Seal. Experience gained 1 by 999 times. Ding! Congratulations, Master. The Grade 2 Medium Alchemy Hand Seal, Cyan Light Seal, has successfully broken through to the minor accomplishment level. After a long time, Jiyu finally raised the level of the Cyan Light Seal to the minor accomplishment level. After all, it's too slow to raise the level by only reading the secret book to gain experience. It's faster to directly use the Cyan Light Seal to gain experience. Jiyu secretly thought in his heart. However, the Alchemy Hand Seal must be used when refining pills, otherwise it would be meaningless. But currently, he didn't have any alchemy materials on him, so he had to buy some alchemy materials back. In addition, although he still had a few hundred gold coins on him, which was definitely enough for his daily expenses, these few hundred gold coins were too little to buy alchemy materials. Therefore, Jiyu now had to go to the Demon Beast Mountain range to hunt demon beasts to earn gold coins. That boss Chun Yin is not completely dead yet. He will definitely come back soon. Now that I've rested enough, I've rested enough. Chapter 85. Apart from Chun Yin, he still held a grudge against the head of the Lin family, Lin Zhanshan. However, Lin Zhanshan was a Tongshin realm expert, and he couldn't fight against him in a short period of time. Jiyu planned to head to the inner region of the Demon Beast mountain range. Although his cultivation was still at the peak of the second layer of the defensive profound realm, and even with the low-grade mountain rank fist technique, the mountain shaking fist, he wouldn't be able to fight against demonic beasts above the fourth layer of the second grade. However, apart from the mountain shaking fist, he also had a low-grade mountain rank technique, the 1000 illusory flash. Even if he couldn't beat them, he could still escape. The inner region of the Demon Beast mountain range was divided into many small regions, and each small region had a different level of danger. For example, the small regions with lower levels of danger gathered demonic beasts from the first layer of the second grade to the second layer of the second grade, while the small regions with higher levels of danger gathered demonic beasts from the ninth layer of the second grade. As long as Jiyu hunted demonic beasts in the small regions with lower levels of danger, there wouldn't be any problems. As for tonight, Jiyu planned to break through to the third layer of the defensive profound realm. First, he casually threw the profound gathering powder that he had just refined into his mouth. Ding! Master has consumed a low-grade second-grade pill, the profound gathering powder. Martial cultivation experience gained, 5,000 asterisk 999x. After that, Jiyu sat on the bed and calmed his heart, entering into a state of cultivation. Ding! Congratulations, Master. Your martial cultivation has successfully broken through to the early stage of the third layer of the defensive profound realm. An unknown amount of time passed, and it was late at night. Jiyu's martial cultivation had finally broken through to the third layer of the defensive profound realm. However, he forgot to suppress his aura, and the sound of his breakthrough immediately alarmed the entire hotel, and even the people who lived near the hotel were affected. At this time, most people were sleeping. It was inevitable that they would be very unhappy to be suddenly awakened. However, when they realized that someone was breaking through to the defensive profound realm, they all acted as if nothing had happened. After all, they couldn't afford to provoke a defensive profound realm expert. The next morning, Ji put on a black robe, as usual, and went downstairs to eat breakfast. He casually found a place to sit down and ordered some food. However, at this moment, 3 burly men appeared beside him with unfriendly expressions. It was probably because the restaurant was full of people and Jiyu had a 4-seater seat all to herself. However, Jiyu couldn't be bothered to pay attention to the 3 of them. She didn't even look at them. Kid, us 3 brothers want this seat. The bearded man who was the leader said arrogantly, "If you know what's good for you, then get the hell out of my way." Yo, I didn't notice earlier. You brat, you're imitating the genius Jiyu, wearing a black robe? I've seen a lot of guys like that on the road. Young people nowadays are really sick. They imitate everything and aren't afraid of being laughed at. Ha ha. The other 2 big men pointed at Jiyu and laughed loudly. Another young man who admires the genius Jiyu and imitates her. In the past 2 days, there have been a lot of people imitating Jiyu wearing black robes. Who asked Jiyu to be so strong? Even Shun Yin, who has awakened his acquired spiritual body, could only be hung up and beaten. This young man is really pitiful. He met 3 unreasonable guys. Many people's attention was attracted by the 3 big men's mocking laughter, and they all started to talk about it. However, Jiyu didn't panic at all. Instead, she wanted to laugh. Imitating myself? These 3 big men also made Jiyu laugh. After waiting for a while and seeing that the other party didn't move at all, the bearded man who was the leader said with an unfriendly expression, "Hey kid, are you deaf? Didn't you hear me tell you to get lost? Did you hear me? Hurry up and get lost. The 3 of us are tired of standing. If you don't get lost, don't blame us for being rude." The other 2 big men also threatened. At this moment, Jiyu silently took off the black robe on her head and said coldly, "What a joke." The moment she took off the black robe, silence. Incomparable silence. Everyone around was dumbfounded. They recognized that the young man in front of them was Jiyu. Chapter 86. Especially those three burly men. They were completely dumbfounded. Before this, they would never have thought that this black-robed man in front of them was Ji-Yu himself. No matter who it was, they would never have thought that the number one genius who had surpassed the acquired spirit body, Qin Yin, would actually be eating breakfast in this small tea house. The leader, the bearded burly man, was the first to react, and his attitude immediately changed drastically. Ji Gongzi Ji. Ji Gongzi. We were just joking, we hope. Hope that young master will not take it to heart. When he was speaking, not only was his body retreating backwards, his legs were also trembling nonstop. The other two burly men also gradually regained their senses and sincerely apologized. That's right. We were just joking. Joking? Ji-Yu's expression was cold and indifferent. Are you guys treating me like a fool? No. The two burly men's faces were filled with fear as they hurriedly shook their heads. Seeing that the situation was extremely bad, the bearded burly man immediately broke into a run, not caring about the life or death of his two brothers. Want to escape? Ji-Yu used his leg to kick and directly sent the table in front of him flying. Ding! Master kicked, low yellow rank profound skill Gale kick, obtained experience points, won by 999 times. The table flew at an extremely fast speed towards the bearded burly man. That bearded burly man was completely unable to dodge and was directly smashed by the table until his head was bleeding. The bearded burly man was unable to escape and fell to the ground unconscious. When the other two burly men saw this frightening scene, they were so frightened that their legs went soft. They directly knelt on the ground and repeatedly kowtowed to Ji-Yu, begging for mercy. The two of you, slap yourself 100 times and make a loud sound. Otherwise, you'll end up like him. Ji-Yu's gaze fell on the two men who were kneeling and begging for mercy, as he coldly said. They were just two pieces of trash who had not even reached the defensive profound realm. He was too lazy to dirty his hands. Yes. In order to preserve their lives, the two burly men immediately did as they were told. Slap. They all followed Ji-Yu's instructions and slapped themselves with their hands. Moreover, they slapped themselves very loudly. In the face of death, they no longer cared about pain or even their dignity. Pa! Just like that, the two of them kept slapping themselves. Every slap was forceful. They were afraid that the sound they made would not satisfy Ji-Yu. Hiss, seeing the three burly men being taken care of by Ji-Yu in the blink of an eye. The surrounding people couldn't help but suck in a cold breath. The sound of the slaps made their hearts beat faster and faster, making them feel uneasy. This was because most of them had been talking about Ji-Yu before. Although they weren't as direct as the three burly men, they were still a little afraid. Only a very small number of people rejoiced that they had not said a single word from beginning to end and had not provoked that terrifyingly powerful genius youth. Pa. After an unknown amount of time, the resounding slaps finally stopped. At this moment, the two burly men's faces were already swollen to the point where they looked even uglier than a pig's head. Ji didn't carefully count if the two of them had slapped themselves 100 times. He only knew that it was about enough. However, even if he didn't count, he knew that the two of them wouldn't dare to slack off. At this moment, the waiter trembled as he brought 2 dishes over. Just nice, this 1 gold coin is the compensation for that table. Seeing the waiter come over, Ji-Yu immediately took out a gold coin and threw it to the waiter. The waiter immediately panicked and almost didn't catch the gold coin. He was extremely terrified. I don't dare. Just accept it when I tell you to. Also, give me a table, Ji-Yu said indifferently. Yes. The waiter nodded repeatedly and hurriedly ran to help Ji-Yu get a table. After eating breakfast, Ji-Yu indifferently left under the gazes of the surrounding people. As for the unconscious bearded man, he left him to the boss. Relying on the low-level, profound rank movement technique, Thousand Mirage Flash, Ji-Yu arrived at the Demon Beast Mountain Range not long after. After entering the Demon Beast Mountain Range, he directly went deep into the central area. Along the way, he encountered many demonic beasts, but they were all easily dealt with by him. Ding! Master has used the low-level profound rank, profound skill mountain shaking fist. The experience gained from the low-level profound rank, profound skill mountain shaking fist is 200 by 999 times. Ding! Master has used the low-level profound rank, profound skill mountain shaking fist. The experience gained from the low-level profound rank, profound skill mountain shaking fist is 200 by 999 times. Ding! Congratulations, Master. The low-level profound rank, profound skill mountain shaking fist has successfully broken through to the initial success realm. Along the way, no matter what demonic beasts they encountered, they were all dealt with by GU with one punch. After all, the outer area was filled with weak, first-grade demonic beasts. At the same time, his mountain-shaking fist had also been upgraded to the initial success realm. Soon, GU entered the inner area. The moment he entered the inner area, he could feel that the surrounding demonic aura had become much denser. If it was an ordinary person here, they would probably be corroded by the demonic aura and go crazy. Fortunately, GU's cultivation was high enough, so the demonic aura did not affect him much. Ding! Master has been corroded by demonic aura. The experience gained from the basic spiritual power is 1 by 999 times. At this moment, GU suddenly heard a new notification from the system. Chapter 87. G was a little confused. How could he strengthen his spiritual power like this? Everyone was born with spiritual power, and it could be improved along with the cultivation of martial arts. If one's spiritual power reached a certain level, it could even be transformed into a spiritual attack, killing people invisibly. GU was very happy that he could strengthen his spiritual power in the middle area of the Demon Beast Mountain Range. Ding! Master has been eroded by demonic aura. Basic spiritual power experience gained. 1 by 999 times. Ding! Master has been eroded by demonic aura. Basic spiritual power experience gained. 1 by 999 times. Ding! Congratulations, Master. Basic spiritual power has successfully broken through to the initial level. Ding! Congratulations, Master. Basic spiritual power has successfully broken through to the advanced level. Ding! Congratulations, Master. Basic spiritual power has successfully broken through to the perfect level. Ding! Basic spiritual power has been detected to have reached the perfect level, automatically upgraded to bronze level spiritual power. After wandering around the middle area for a while, GU's spiritual power was upgraded to bronze level. As far as he knew, spiritual power was divided into 4 levels, from low to high: bronze level, silver level, gold level, and platinum level. He had no way of knowing if there were any higher levels after that. Once his spiritual power was strengthened to bronze level, the surrounding demonic aura had almost no effect on GU. At this time, GU was no longer wandering around aimlessly. In fact, he went deep into the middle area of the Demon Beast Mountain Range, not only to kill demonic beasts to earn gold coins, but also to search for some materials. In his mind, he remembered the materials needed to refine the 7 profound spirit purifying pill. The 7 profound spirit purifying pill was a superior 3rd-grade elixir, and the materials needed were very rare. Even in the Chaoyang branch, not all the materials were available. For example, most of the materials needed to refine the 7 profound spirit purifying pill could not be found in the Chaoyang branch, but some of them could be found in the middle area of the Demon Beast Mountain Range. GU also planned to find some strong 2nd-grade demonic beasts to practice with. It had been so long since he had broken through to the defensive profound realm, but he had never fought to his heart's content. Now that all the geniuses of the same generation in the ancient city of Morning Sun were no match for him, he could only come here to find powerful demonic beasts to practice his skills. Just as GU was about to take out the map to find the location, an extremely dense Yao Qi suddenly approached from a distance. He suddenly frowned. This demonic chi was not simple. It was not much weaker than the red-striped python he had encountered before. Obviously, he was being targeted by a tough guy. After a while, a ferocious-looking giant grizzly bear appeared in front of him. This grizzly bear was more than twice as tall as Jiyu. Its body was like a small mountain, and its eyes were flashing with scarlet light. The grizzly bear in front of him reminded him of the brute force black bear that he encountered when he first met Jiang Yuexin. Compared to this grizzly bear in front of him, that black bear was simply a small dot. If Jiyu was not mistaken, this grizzly bear should be a second-grade demonic beast, the ferocious bear, which was relatively rare in the demonic beast mountain range. The ferocious bear, as its name suggested, was extremely violent and liked to cruelly torture the weak. Judging from the demonic chi it emitted, Jiyu felt that the ferocious bear in front of him should be at the third grade of the second grade, which was not much different from his third grade of the defensive profound realm cultivation. However, the ferocious bear's strength was extremely terrifying. It was an extremely troublesome existence for Jiyu. However, Jiyu did not plan to run away. He smiled at the ferocious bear and said, "I'll use you to practice." The ferocious bear seemed to understand Jiyu's words. With a roar, it charged toward Jiyu. Ding! Master has used the low-grade mystic skill 1000 Mirage Flash. Experience gained from the low-grade mystic skill 1000 Mirage Flash, 200 by 999 times. Jiyu's figure flashed and disappeared from the spot in an instant, perfectly dodging the ferocious bear's fierce charge. Bang! With a violent, muffled sound, a large tree was directly knocked down by the ferocious bear. Chapter 88. Seeing this shocking scene, Jiyu couldn't help but click his tongue a few times. If he were to be hit by this, his bones would probably fall apart. At the same time, he confirmed that the violent wild bear in front of him was indeed at the third stage of the second stage. It was a very suitable target for practice. However, practice was practice. If he wanted to win against this violent wild bear, the difficulty was not ordinary. This was because demonic beasts were much stronger than human cultivators in terms of strength and toughness of their flesh. At the same level, human cultivators were usually at a disadvantage. Realizing that it didn't hit its target, the violent wild bear became even more furious. It charged toward Jiyu again and used its huge bear paw to slap Jiyu's head. Jiyu instantly used 1000 Mirage Flash and easily dodged the violent wild bear's attack again. However, this time he didn't dodge far away. His figure flashed to the side of the violent wild bear, and he condensed profound chi on his fist and smashed it towards the weakest part of the violent wild bear's body, which was its waist. Ding! Master has used the low-level profound skill mountain shaking fist. The experience gained from the low-level profound skill mountain shaking fist, 200 by 999 times, Jiyu used all the strength in his body and fiercely smashed towards the violent wild bear's waist. Bam! It could be seen that the violent wild bear's thick waist, under this mountain-shaking fist, fiercely shook its thick skin and flesh. It was obvious that this punch had caused effective damage to the violent wild bear. However, Jiyu couldn't help but sigh. This violent wild bear's skin was really thick. This was because he was very clear that his mountain-shaking fist had at most caused a small injury to the violent wild bear's waist. It was completely impossible to rely on this punch to gain the upper hand. Therefore, Jiyu didn't dare to let his guard down. In the short moment before the violent wild bear could react, he added another punch. The violent wild bear felt the pain from its waist and furiously turned around to slap Jiyu. Jiyu's eyes were sharp and her hands were fast. She once again used 1000 Phantom Flash to dodge and took the opportunity to give the violent wild bear another punch. Jiyu had tried and tested this method of playing with the violent wild bear. He was faster than the violent wild bear in all aspects. It was impossible for the violent wild bear to touch him. It could only passively take a beating. Ding! Congratulations, Master. The low profound rank profound skill mountain shaking fist has successfully broken through to the mastery level. After repeating it countless times, GU's mountain shaking fist had been strengthened to the mastery level. Gradually, GU felt that something was wrong. Although this violent wild bear would soon be exhausted to death if this continued, there was no point in continuing like this. He suddenly appeared in front of the violent wild bear and said with a playful expression, "Beast, come again." The violent wild bear, which was already exhausted and covered in wounds, went berserk again when it saw the cunning human in front of it. It once again slapped down with its palm, wanting to tear the human in front of it apart. However, this time, G did not dodge and directly faced the violent wild bear head-on. Ding! Master has used the low profound rank profound skill mountain shaking fist. Low profound rank profound skill mountain shaking fist obtained experience points, 200 by 999 times. Ding! Master's body has been injured. Low yellow rank profound skill thick earth armor obtained experience points, 1 by 999 times. Even though the violent wild bear was not in a good state, its strength was still frightening. GU was at a disadvantage under the violent wild bear's attack. He took a few steps back before stabilizing his body. However, not only was he not the slightest bit timid, he became more and more courageous as he fought. Without the slightest bit of dodging, he completely relied on his flesh and blood to clash head-on with the violent wild bear. At the same time, within 10 miles of GU's location, a few young men and women were slowly moving forward. They wore the same clothes and seemed to be from the same faction. Among them, a young woman was the most eye-catching. Her skin was whiter than snow, and her eyes were like a pool of clear water. When she looked around, she had an elegant and noble temperament. There was a light veil on her face, which added a trace of mysterious beauty to her. It made people feel ashamed of their inferiority and did not dare to blaspheme. Chapter 89. Miss, we are about to enter the middle area of the Monster Beast mountain range. At this time, a well-built man who looked older and calmer walked to the side of the stunning woman and said in a low voice. The woman nodded slightly and didn't mean to stop. In addition, there were 2 young men behind. Their eyes secretly glanced at the veiled woman from time to time, and their eyes flashed with imperceptible admiration. The team of 4 continued to move forward. Suddenly, at this moment, the calm man stopped and said in a deep voice, "Wait, what's wrong?" The 2 young men asked in bewilderment. The veiled woman frowned slightly and raised her head slightly to look into the distance. She seemed to have noticed something. There seems to be 2 powerful monsters fighting fiercely in front of us. The calm man said with a dignified look. In his opinion, this kind of momentum could only be caused by 2 powerful monsters fighting each other. Let's move forward. At this time, the veiled woman finally opened her mouth, and a cold and ethereal voice came. But the calm man was about to say something to dissuade her, but he gave up after thinking about it. He guarded the veiled woman's side, always vigilant to see if there would be any monsters around them. The other 2 young men followed tremblingly, not daring to make the slightest sound. However, they kept walking and didn't encounter a single monster. The excited momentum also became louder and louder as they approached. Obviously, it was because of this fierce battle that the nearby monsters hid. Finally, the team of 4 was about to reach the place where the monsters were fighting. The next moment, the veiled woman's beautiful eyes shrank, the calm man was shocked, and the 2 young men were dumbfounded. In front of them, there was a young man in a black robe fighting with a monster, and it was a violent wild bear. The black-robed young man punched and smashed with the violent wild bear, which brought great shock to their eyes. Although the human youth was a bit at a disadvantage, it was still extremely terrifying. The calm man couldn't believe that the scene in front of him was real. There was a human who could fight head-on with the violent wild bear with his body, and it seemed that he was doing it with ease. The calm man looked back and found that the 2 young men were already stunned. He then whispered to the veiled woman, Miss, should we go up and help? The veiled woman shook her head slightly and stared at the black-robed young man. Wait. The calm man nodded and hid in the jungle, quietly watching. Jiyu's mountain-shaking fist had already reached the pinnacle of mastery when she clashed with the violent wild bear. Not only that, his low yellow rank defensive mystic skill, thick earth armor, was also continuously increasing by 999 times. At the same time, it had also broken through to the realm of mastery. After that, Ji-Yu gradually turned the tables around. This was because his fist technique was constantly being strengthened, and he could take pills to recover his profound chi at any time, which was equivalent to a perpetual motion machine. On the other hand, the violent wild bear's stamina was depleting very quickly. By now, it was truly exhausted. In the end, the situation had turned into a one-sided suppression by Ji-Yu. The violent wild bear's stamina was already exhausted, and it had no room to fight back. Not long after, the violent wild bear was already on the verge of death. Phew! Ji-Yu heaved a sigh of relief. This was the first time he had fought so well. All right, you could die now. Ji-Yu looked at the dying violent wild bear in front of him and said with a faint smile. Then, with a punch, the violent wild bear was completely dead. Chapter 90. At this moment, the calm man and the two young men who were hiding in the woods not far away were completely stunned. Is he still a F***king human? This is simply an incomparably powerful humanoid beast. With just the strength of his bare hands, he killed a ferocious bear, and there were not many injuries on his body. This young man is too terrifying. The veiled woman's eyes flickered, and she was thoughtful. Ji didn't notice that there were people hiding nearby, and he was cutting the body of the ferocious bear. After cutting off the most valuable parts of the ferocious bear's body and putting them into the storage ring, he was ready to leave. However, just as he walked a few steps, he suddenly found a purple leaf under a stone at his feet. Ji then crouched down and flipped open the rock. Underneath the rock, she dug out a stalk of spirit grass with two purple leaves. This is the twin purple spirit grass. Ji couldn't help but exclaim in a low voice. The twin purple spirit grass was an extremely precious and rare spirit grass that generally only grew under stones. Although it was pressed by stones all year round, the vitality of this spirit grass was extremely tenacious and could continue to grow under stones. The most important thing was that the twin purple spirit grass was one of the main materials needed to refine the 7 profound spirit clearing pill. To be able to find this twin purple spirit grass by chance, Jiyu's luck could be said to be extremely good this time. But just as he was about to put this twin purple spirit grass into the storage ring and leave, suddenly an ethereal and cold voice came from not far behind him. Wait a minute. Jiyu turned around and saw a slender figure appear in the forest not far away at some point in time. Soon after, 3 more men appeared. Jiyu looked at the 4 people and said with narrowed eyes, "What do you want?" Our young lady came to the Monster Mountain range from thousands of miles away to find the twin purple spirit grass. I wonder if young hero can use the twin purple spirit grass in your hand to exchange with us? The calm man immediately said respectfully. He just saw the black-robed young man, so he didn't dare to be disrespectful. No, Ji didn't even think about it, and directly rejected him. He was going to use this twin purple spirit grass to refine the 7 profound spirit clearing pill. If he exchanged with someone else this time, it would be even more difficult to find a second twin purple spirit grass in the future. Therefore, no matter how much the other party was willing to pay, he did not intend to trade. At this moment, the beautiful figure of the veiled woman flashed and arrived less than 10 meters away from Jiyu. "Miss." The steady man was worried about the young miss facing the fierce young man alone, so he immediately chased after her. On the other hand, the other 2 youths didn't move at all. They were afraid that the black-robed youth would tear them apart with his bare hands in a moment of displeasure. How could they dare to approach the black-robed youth? "I can give you satisfactory conditions," the veiled woman said coldly. "I don't need it." Goodbye. Jiyu was already feeling a little impatient. She directly used her movement technique to leave. Although the woman in front of him was very beautiful and mysterious, it was far from enough to shake his heart. After all, it was not like he had never seen a beautiful woman before. Seeing the black-robed youth disappear in an instant, the steady man breathed a sigh of relief. He was also worried that the black-robed youth would suddenly attack. With the young man's strength that could fight with the violent wild bear, he was no match for the young man at all. The most important thing was that the young miss was safe. The veiled woman stared at the direction where the black-robed youth disappeared. There was a trace of excitement in the depths of her beautiful eyes, as if she was waiting for something exciting to happen. Chapter 91. Ding! Master has used the low profound rank, profound skill, 1000 illusory flash. Experience gained from the low profound rank, profound skill, 1000 illusory flash. 200 by 999 times. Ding! Master has used the low profound rank, profound skill, mountain shaking fist. Experience gained from the low profound rank, profound skill, mountain shaking fist. 200 by 999 times. Ding! Congratulations, Master. The low profound rank, profound skill, 1000 illusory flash has successfully broken through to the peak of perfection realm. Ding! Congratulations, Master. The low profound rank, profound skill, mountain shaking fist has successfully broken through to the peak of perfection realm. Ding! It has been detected that the low profound rank, profound skill, 1000 illusory flash has reached the perfection stage and has automatically upgraded to the middle profound rank, profound skill, myriad flash. Ding! It has been detected that the low profound rank, profound skill, mountain shaking fist has reached the perfection stage and has automatically upgraded to the middle profound rank, profound skill, fist suppressing all directions. After an unknown amount of time, Jiyu had also forgotten how many demonic beasts he had killed. Only when his storage ring was completely stuffed did he stop hunting demonic beasts. In the process of hunting demonic beasts, his fist technique and movement technique had already leveled up to the middle profound rank, profound skill. In addition to these, he had also obtained some rare heavenly materials and earthly treasures. After this trip, Jiyu had obtained a full pot of gold. Since the storage ring could no longer hold anything, it was time for him to return. Ding! Master has used the middle profound rank, profound skill, 10,000 incarnations. Experience gained from the middle profound rank, profound skill, 10,000 incarnations. 300 by 999 times. Ding! Master has used the middle profound rank, profound skill, 10,000 incarnations. Experience gained from the middle profound rank, profound skill, 10,000 incarnations. 300 by 999 times. Using the newly obtained middle profound rank movement technique, Jiyu returned to Chaoyang Ancient City in a short while. After selling a large pile of demonic beast materials, he used gold coins to buy a large amount of alchemy materials. When the bystanders saw so many demonic beast materials, they were already used to it. After all, the person standing in front of them was the undisputed number 1 genius of the martial Tao. Who would dare to doubt the strength of a super genius who could crush an acquired spiritual body with 3 punches? After buying the materials, Jiyu returned to her residence. Once she was back, she immediately began to refine pills to improve her alchemy skills. Ding! It has been detected that Master has begun to refine Grade 2 pills. The success rate of refining pills has increased by 999 times. 10 minutes later, Jiyu successfully refined an inferior Grade 2 pill. Ding! Master has successfully refined an inferior second grade medicinal pill. Experience gained from alchemy attainment, 200 by 999 times. Ding! It has been detected that Master has finished concocting the second grade pill. The success rate of concocting pills has returned to its original state. However, just as Jiyu finished refining the first pill, someone suddenly knocked on the door from the outside. Dong dong dong, who? Jiyu asked. It's me. A familiar voice came from outside the door. When Ji Yu heard it, he felt that it was Jiang Yuechu's voice. He immediately walked over and opened the door. As expected, Jiang Yuechu came into view. How'd you find this place? Ji Yu asked in surprise. With the means of the City Lord Mansion, it was not strange that Jiang Yuechu, as the eldest daughter of the City Lord Mansion, knew that he was here. But shouldn't Jiang Yuexin come to find him? After all, he was more familiar with Jiang Yuexin. He only knew Jiang Yuechu slightly. Young master, don't you welcome Yu Chu to visit? Jiang Yuechu said with a slight sadness. Stop acting. Just say what you want to say. Ji Yu saw through Jiang Yuechu's act and exposed Jiang Yuechu without hesitation. As expected of young master, your awareness is really sharp. Jiang Yuechu praised. At the same time, she silently said in her heart, it's a pity that you are so slow in some aspects. So, why did you suddenly come to find me? Ji Yu asked straightforwardly. After all, he was not familiar with Jiang Yuechu. In his opinion, Jiang Yuechu suddenly came to find him for something. There is indeed something, and it is a very important thing. Jiang Yuechu stared solemnly into Ji Yu's eyes and said, Please become my Tao companion. Chapter 92. Ji was shocked by Jiang Yuechu's words. His entire body froze. After a while, he finally reacted and asked in shock, What did you say? Please become my Tao companion, Qin Wentian said. Jiang Yuechu repeated with a determined look in her eyes. Wait, let me calm down a bit. Ji Yu still hadn't regained his composure. He wanted to calm down and think about it. After a while, he finally calmed down. But no matter how he thought about it, he couldn't understand. He hadn't interacted with her that much, so why did she suddenly? In the next moment, Ji Yu's pupils suddenly constricted as if he thought of something. He almost forgot that Jiang Yuechu liked to act, even though she wasn't very good at it. With that thought, Ji Yu carefully observed Jiang Yuechu. He realized that Jiang Yuechu had a serious look on her face from beginning to end, as if she was trying to achieve some kind of goal. Of course not, Ji Yu replied. No matter what Jiang Yuechu's goal was, there was no need for him to accept her. Although Jiang Yuechu was a little beauty, he wasn't the kind of person who would reject anyone. At least, before he completely dealt with Chun Yin and Lin Zhanshan, Ji Yu didn't want to think about romantic relationships. Why? Jiang Yuechu was slightly surprised. Is it because I'm not pretty enough? She thought that Ji Yu would gladly accept, but she didn't expect to be directly rejected. It has nothing to do with whether you're pretty or not. Ji Yu shook his head and said, Besides, you're already very pretty. Is that so? Jiang Yuechu couldn't help but feel a trace of joy in her heart. Of course, I don't need to lie to you. Ji nodded honestly. He was indeed speaking the truth. If anyone said that Jiang Yuechu wasn't pretty, they were either lying or had extremely high standards. Cough. Jiang Yuechu coughed lightly and regained her composure. Even if you don't accept it, I won't give up. Up to you. This is your choice. Ji Yu said, but then again, this time, you deliberately came to find me and wanted to become my Tao companion. It should be because of some unspeakable secret, right? No. Jiang Yuechu shook her head, but her slightly averted eyes betrayed her. Ji Yu keenly captured this point and confirmed that Jiang Yuechu indeed had ulterior motives. As expected, this fellow, Jiang Yuechu, was still the same as before. Previously, in order to prevent Manor Head Jiang from blaming Jiang Yuexin, she had deliberately distanced herself from Jiang Yuexin. She was an old actress. No matter what your intentions are, I won't easily accept someone I'm not familiar with. Ji Yu smiled and said, Of course, if you can make me infatuated with you, then you can try. I'll do it. Jiang Yuechu nodded with a serious expression. And man, I understand. Then goodbye. With that said, Ji Yu was about to close the door. Wait. However, before he could close the door, Jiang Yuechu pulled on the door. Is there anything else? Ji Yu asked. If I want you to be infatuated with me, then I naturally have to stay with you. Jiang Yuechu's tone was reasonable and convincing. Ah, Rue Di? Ji Yu's mouth twitched, and he couldn't help but speak in bird language. What did you say? Jiang Yuechu was stunned and didn't understand what Ji Yu was saying. Nothing. Ji Yu said somewhat awkwardly. I'm saying, are you sure? I'm sure. Jiang Yuechu said with a solemn expression. All right, then you can do whatever you want. Ji Yu couldn't be bothered to care so much, so he just let Jiang Yuechu do whatever she wanted. I'm going to continue refining pills first. Remember to close the door behind you when you're going in or out. Ji Yu said casually, then went back to continue refining pills. Chapter 93. Ding. It has been detected that the master has begun to refine the inferior second-grade medicinal pill profound gathering powder, and the success rate of alchemy has increased by 999 times. Seeing that Ji Yu is refining the medicinal pill, Jiang Yuechu couldn't help but feel surprised, because this was the first time that Jiang Yuechu saw Ji Yu refining medicinal pills. Are you an alchemist? Jiang Yuechu couldn't help but ask. Ji Yu replied while refining the medicinal pill. He was now refining a kind of inferior second-grade medicinal pill, which was very easy for him and could be easily distracted. In that case, Jiang Yuechu's eyes suddenly flashed, as if she thought of something, and then asked, the medicinal pill that was given to my mother last time was also personally refined by you? Before that, she didn't know that Ji Yu was also an alchemist. In addition, she was too excited at that time, so she forgot to ask her mother about these things in detail. She originally thought that those medicinal pills were obtained by Ji Yu from others. She never thought that Ji Yu would personally refine them. Exactly. Ji Yu nodded in response. Jiang Yuechu was so excited that she didn't know what to say. A few minutes later, Ji Yu refined the second medicinal pill. Ding. Master has refined an inferior second-grade medicinal pill profound gathering powder. Alchemy attainments gained experience points, 200 by 999 times. Seeing Ji Yu take out a medicinal pill from the alchemy furnace, Jiang Yuechu was stunned for a moment and almost blurted out, this is the profound gathering powder. That's right. You can recognize this pill. Ji Yu nodded. I used it for cultivation, so I have some impression of it. Jiang Yuechu said. Now she didn't have the slightest doubt in her heart. She was sure that Ji Yu personally refined the medicinal pill to save her mother. At the same time, she was also very surprised. Although she didn't have much contact with alchemy, the profound gathering powder was a kind of inferior second-grade medicinal pill. It was really shocking that Ji Yu could refine it so easily and quickly. Next, Ji Yu didn't rush to take this profound gathering powder, but continued to refine medicinal pills. When all the materials were refined, he took all the medicinal pills at once. Ding! Master has refined an intermediate second-grade medicinal pill. Alchemy attainments gained experience points, 300 by 999 times. Ding! Master has concocted an inferior second-grade medicinal pill. Experience gained from alchemy attainment, 200 by 999 times. Ding! Congratulations, Master. You have successfully broken through to become an inferior third-grade alchemist. After more than half a day, Ji Yu finally finished refining all the materials and barely promoted to an inferior third-grade alchemist. He refined some inferior second-grade and intermediate second-grade medicinal pills, because these medicinal pills were more convenient for him to refine. Compared to the superior second-grade medicinal pills, it was much faster. After refining all the medicinal pills, Ji Yu glanced at Jiang Yuechu next to him and suddenly felt quite speechless. From the beginning until now, Jiang Yuechu had been sitting next to him and looking at him as if she didn't feel bored or tired at all. He had to admire this guy's perseverance. If it were him, he couldn't sit and watch others refine medicinal pills for more than half a day, because it was too boring. Aren't you going back? Ji Yu asked. I won't go back before you fall in love with me, Jiang Yuechu said with an unwavering gaze. Okay, then continue to work hard, Ji Yu said with a helpless expression. He regretted saying, make me fall in love with you before. Not only did he not persuade the other party to leave, but it also had the opposite effect. Gurgle, gurgle. However, at this moment, a gurgling sound was suddenly heard. Jiyu looked in the direction of the rumbling sound in confusion. Jiang Yuechu covered her stomach with both hands, and a trace of shyness appeared on her fair face. Indeed, it's getting late. I'll take you out for a meal, Jiyu said with a smile. Okay, Jiang Yuechu nodded with a slightly bashful expression. However, she suddenly thought of something and said in a serious voice, Wait, I'll cook it myself. Chapter 94. Do you want to cook by yourself? Jiyu asked with some surprise. Yes, Mother said that if you want to capture a man's heart, you have to capture a man's stomach. Jiang Yuechu nodded and said with a serious look, Your mother is really... Jiyu didn't know what to say for a while. Thousands of words turned into one word. Awesome. Where's the kitchen here? Jiang Yuechu immediately got up and looked around the room. Come with me. With that, Jiyu walked to the kitchen of this room. It's not that this room doesn't have a kitchen. It's just that he was too lazy to cook by himself. He prefers to eat directly in a restaurant. But at this moment, he suddenly remembered that he didn't prepare any ingredients here at all. He immediately said to Jiang Yuechu behind him, It's fine if you want to try to cook by yourself, but I don't have any ingredients here. Why don't you go with me to buy them? Okay. Jiang Yuechu nodded blankly. Then let's go. With that, Jiyu walked toward the door, and Jiang Yuechu immediately followed him. Later, Jiyu took Jiang Yuechu to the market that sells food. Many people can be seen setting up stalls in this market. This is the market? Looking at everything around her, Jiang Yuechu felt a little inconceivable. This place was far poorer and more shabby than she had imagined. As the eldest daughter of the city lord's mansion, Jiang Yuechu has always been in charge of food matters. Moreover, she usually focuses on martial arts cultivation. She has almost never been in contact with things other than martial arts. If you want to compare, she, who is nearly 17 years old, has not seen as much as Jiang Yuexin since she was born. So she has never been to a place like a market, and she has never seen the life of ordinary people with her own eyes. What do you want to eat? Or, what do you know how to cook? You can go and buy ingredients. At this time, Jiyu said to Jiang Yuechu. All right. Jiang Yuechu responded and walked into the market. She came to a stall and squatted down to pick the ingredients. What do you want? The stall's vendor was a middle-aged dandy. As soon as she finished speaking, she suddenly realized that the girl in front of her looked familiar, but she couldn't remember who she was. This was because Jiang Yuechu rarely appeared in front of ordinary people. She would only appear on the streets when she went to the Demon Beast mountain range to train. However, her beauty and strength were both outstanding. Most people had heard of her even if they had never seen her before. As a result, although everyone in Chaoyang Ancient City had heard of Jiang Yuechu's great name, they might not be able to recognize her. Let me take a look first, Jiang Yuechu muttered to herself as she tried her best to select the ingredients. She had never come into contact with these things before, so even choosing ingredients was not easy for her. It took her quite a while to select the ingredients. This was because Jiang Yuechu kept recalling the dishes she had eaten and the ingredients used in those dishes. Otherwise, she didn't know how long it would take her to select the ingredients. How many gold coins do these cost? Jiang Yuechu asked the auntie. The auntie couldn't help but be stunned. She had never seen anyone buy food with gold coins. Jiyu couldn't help but speechlessly hold her forehead. Didn't this girl have any common sense? Most people use copper coins to buy groceries. For things like buying groceries, the value of gold coins was still too high. Little girl, these dishes only cost 80 copper coins in total. You don't need any gold coins. The auntie suddenly realized that this might be the first time the girl in front of her went out to buy food. She immediately said with a smile, "Or you can give me a gold coin, and I'll give you 20 copper coins." "Oh, okay." Jiang Yuechu was a little dazed as she replied. She immediately took out a gold coin and gave it to the auntie. The auntie then gave her 20 copper coins. Chapter 95. Do you still want to buy other ingredients? Seeing that Jiang Yuechu had put away the 20 copper coins, Jiyu immediately asked, "I'll take a look around." Jiang Yuechu stood up and went to look for other stalls. Some of the stall vendors recognized that this red-dressed young lady was the eldest daughter of the city lord's mansion, Jiang Yuechu. They all prayed that this eldest daughter would not patronize their stalls, because they were just ordinary people. If this eldest daughter came to buy ingredients, they definitely would not dare to accept money and could only give it to her for free. After a while, Jiang Yuechu finished choosing the ingredients. It could be seen that she did not choose many ingredients, but it was definitely enough for 2 people. You're not going to continue? Then you can go back. Jiyu looked at Jiang Yuechu and said, "Okay, I'll show you my cooking later." Jiang Yuechu said with a face full of confidence. "Then I'll have to wait and see," Jiyu said with a smile. In reality, he did not have high hopes for Jiang Yuechu. After a while, Jiyu and Jiang Yuechu returned to the room. After returning to the room, Jiyu sat on the bed. Jiang Yuechu, on the other hand, walked briskly to the kitchen, looking very excited. Jiyu looked at Jiang Yuechu with a relaxed attitude. He did not expect Jiang Yuechu's food to be delicious, as long as it was edible. After all, Jiang Yuechu had high hopes for Jiang Yuechu since she was young. She had probably always focused on martial arts and rarely came into contact with other things. She did not even have the experience of buying ingredients. So how could he have delusions that Jiang Yuechu could make delicious food? Thump, thump, thump. At this moment, the sound of chopping could be heard coming from the kitchen. However, these chopping sounds sounded very stiff and without any rhythm. Ji was a little worried when she heard the sound that normal people couldn't make. She got up and walked to the kitchen to take a look. "Jiang Yuechu," Ji said as she walked behind Jiang Yuechu. Just as he opened his mouth to speak, the sound of chopping suddenly stopped. Ji suspiciously walked forward to take a look. She saw Jiang Yuechu staring at her finger in a daze. There was a wound on her fair and slender jade finger, and blood was constantly flowing out from the wound. It seemed that his voice had distracted Jiang Yuechu, so Jiang Yuechu had accidentally cut her hand. "You actually cut your hand?" Jiyu exclaimed in surprise. No matter what, being called by his name shouldn't hurt his finger, right? In his surprise, he immediately tore a small piece of white cloth from his clothes, intending to bandage Jiang Yuechu's wound. Seeing Jiang Yuechu in a daze, it was obvious that this was her first time trying to cut vegetables. "Hold the wound on your finger in your mouth first. I'll bandage it for you later," Ji said. However, Jiang Yuechu didn't seem to have regained her senses, and her reaction was very slow. Seeing that Jiang Yuechu didn't have the slightest reaction, Ji thought about it and decided to do it himself. Although this kind of small wound didn't have much effect on a martial cultivator, it would be more troublesome if the wound worsened. Ji grabbed Jiang Yuechu's small hand and gently sucked on the injured finger without any distracting thoughts. Jiang Yuechu suddenly felt a warm touch on her fingertip, and only then did she regain her senses. Seeing that Ji was sucking on her finger, she suddenly became even more shocked. "You? What are you doing?" Jiang Yuechu asked in a daze. At this time, Ji felt that it was about time, so he let go of her finger. Then he used a small piece of white cloth to bandage Jiang Yuechu's wound, and said, "Of course I'm treating your wound." "Yes." So, it's like this. Jiang Yuechu gradually recovered from her shock. It turned out that she had a false alarm. Just now, she suddenly saw Ji sucking on her finger, which really scared her. "Okay, this is all right." Soon, Ji helped Jiang Yuechu bandage her wound. Chapter 96. Thank you. Jiang Yuechu thanked him subconsciously. However, she was still concerned about what had just happened. "Seeing you like this, why didn't you let me do it myself?" Ji tried to dissuade her. She couldn't even hold a kitchen knife steadily and didn't know how to chop vegetables. Wouldn't it be worse when she cooked? "No, I still want to do it myself," Jiang Yuechu said firmly. Ji was speechless for a moment. "Then you can continue." He wanted to see what kind of tricks this Jiang Yuechu could play. If he was not surprised, Jiang Yuechu was just stubbornly holding on. Jiang Yuechu's gaze was firm, determined to conquer Jiyu with delicious food. However, half an hour later, Jiyu sat in front of the table and looked at the plate on the table that was filled with all kinds of black food. His appetite suddenly disappeared. All of the dishes on this plate had been burned to a crisp by Jiang Yuechu without exception. Ji was not particularly surprised by this. It was not surprising that a person who did not know how to cook insisted on cooking. Is this the legendary dark cuisine? Ji complained in his heart. Jiang Yuechu lowered her head slightly, as if embarrassed to meet Ji Yu's eyes. She also knew that the dishes she made were impossible to eat. Why don't I throw away these dishes and make them again later? Jiang Yuechu said with a slightly complicated expression. I'd better try it first. After all, you worked hard to make it. Ji Yu sighed slightly. Jiang Yuechu lowered her head again and fell silent. Her heart was filled with mixed feelings. She could see that Ji Yu was obviously taking her feelings into consideration, so she braced herself and chose to taste it. At the same time, a trace of gratitude appeared in her heart. After all, no matter what, she still had a little bit of hope that these dishes would taste good to Ji Yu. Although this little bit of expectation was close to zero, Ji Yu swallowed her saliva and took a deep breath. He picked up an indescribable object with his chopsticks and put it into his mouth with trembling hands. The moment that indescribable thing touched the tip of her tongue, Ji Yu immediately felt her scalp go numb. This was a taste that he had never tasted before. Not only was it burnt to the extreme, it was also salty to the point of exploding. In that brief moment, he felt as if his entire body was about to split apart. However, Ji Yu forcefully controlled her facial expression, so her expression remained calm. How is it? Jiang Yuechu asked softly with a hint of expectation. Looking at Jiang Yuechu's expectant expression, Ji Yu couldn't bear to tell her the cruel truth. She forced a smile and said, "It's okay." Really? Jiang Yuechu was overjoyed and asked in disbelief. Well, for a newbie like you, it's pretty good. Ji Yu nodded affirmatively. He admitted that he was speaking against his conscience. They'll try it too. Jiang Yuechu didn't show much emotion on the surface, but she was extremely excited inside. She was very eager to try the first dish she made in her life, so she picked up her chopsticks. However, just as she was about to reach out, she was suddenly stopped by Ji Yu with another pair of chopsticks. What's wrong? Jiang Yuechu asked in a puzzled tone. Ji didn't know how to explain for a while. After thinking for a while, she came up with an excuse. I think these dishes are too delicious. I want to finish them by myself. Okay then. Jiang Yuechu nodded with a puzzled expression. She still had some doubts in her heart. Without saying anything else, Ji Yu began to wolf down the food. Anyway, his cultivation wasn't low now. Even if he ate 10 more plates of this dark cuisine, it wouldn't affect his body at all. Very soon, Ji Yu ate the entire plate of indescribable things with a sullen expression. Other than his tongue being a little uncomfortable, there were no other side effects. Ding! Master's body has been injured. Experience gained from the low-grade yellow rank thick earth armor, won by 999 times. Hearing the system notification, Ji Yu couldn't help but feel helpless. Even the system couldn't bear to see his tongue being injured. Then he put the plate into the kitchen and sat on the bed to consume pills to cultivate. At this time, Jiang Yuechu was still a little concerned. She quietly walked to the kitchen. Chapter 97. At this moment, Ji Yu was taking pills to improve his martial arts cultivation. Because he was too focused on cultivation, he didn't notice that Jiang Yuechu had run to the kitchen. Jiang Yuechu quietly walked into the kitchen and took out the plate that Ji Yu had just cleaned up. No matter what, she still wanted to taste the food she made. Jiang Yuechu used her fingertips to lightly scratch the black residue left on the plate, then put it in her mouth and took a sip. In the next moment, her eyebrows suddenly wrinkled together. Her first feeling was that she wanted to vomit. She had never eaten something so disgusting. The taste was completely indescribable. Jiang Yuechu's heart was very complicated. She recalled Ji Yu's words and actions. She couldn't even bear such a small amount, but Ji Yu endured and ate the entire plate. However, this was also related to the different habits of different people. As the eldest daughter of the city lord's mansion, She had never had a bad diet. Jiyu had been taken in by a poor couple since she was young. Jiyu had suffered a lot more than Jiang Yuechu. Of course, Jiang Yuechu didn't consider this. Her heart was full of self-blame. She was still delusional to think that Jiyu would feel that it was delicious. Instead, Jiyu forced herself to eat this extremely disgusting food out of consideration for her feelings. She didn't even dare to use the word food to describe these things. However, in addition to this, Jiang Yuechu also had a good impression of Jiyu from the bottom of her heart, because this was the first time she felt care from someone other than her mother. Jiang Yuechu looked at the plate in her hand in a daze. The corner of her mouth outlined a faint smile. This was the taste of happiness. But soon, her expression returned to normal. Jiang Yuechu put down the plate in her hand, walked out of the kitchen, and sat down next to Jiyu. She stared at Jiyu's face, which was immersed in cultivation, and couldn't help but gradually lose focus. Unknowingly, a thought began to form in her heart. If he really became Dao companions with Jiyu, it wouldn't be impossible. Halfway through her thoughts, Jiang Yuechu suddenly shook her head vigorously. No. She forcibly suppressed the urge in her heart. I can't be so selfish. I have to wait until after that. Jiang Yuechu was in a dilemma. It's not too late to wait until after that. Currently, her first step was to make Jiyu fall for her. Otherwise, she would not be able to continue. Meanwhile, on the other side, Jiyu continued to consume pills to cultivate his martial arts. Ding! Master has consumed a medium-grade 2 medicinal pill. Experience gained 4 martial arts cultivation, 7,000 by 999 times. Ding! Master has consumed an inferior 2nd grade medicinal pill. Experience gained from martial cultivation, 5,000 by 999 times. Ding! Congratulations, Master. Martial arts cultivation has successfully broken through to the mid-3rd level of the defensive profound realm. After taking all the pills, Jiyu's martial arts cultivation had only broken through a small level. However, he could clearly feel that he was about to reach the peak of the mid-3rd level of the defensive profound realm. Once completely saturated, he would be able to break through to the late 3rd level of the defensive profound realm. Given the current situation, it would not be difficult for Jiyu to break through to the late 3rd level of the defensive profound realm quickly. At most, he would need to take 1 or 2 pills or cultivate for a while more. After taking all the pills, he could leave the cultivation state. Jiyu immediately opened his eyes. The moment he opened his eyes, he suddenly realized that Jiang Yuechu was sitting opposite him, staring straight at him. Why do you keep staring at my face? Jiyu immediately asked. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.